All right, everyone, thank you for joining us at our downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board 13 monthly meeting. So we have a lot of things on our schedule, so we're going to ask everyone to remember the time limits. We want to say in time. We're going to ask board members 1 minute, ask a question, go straight to the question. If you surpass that 1 minute, I'm going to interrupt by saying, Board Member Carvalho. My name is that. Board Member Carvalho, you've gone out of time. You got 10 seconds to finish up. After that, if you haven't, I'll be moving on to the next speaker, okay? So if anyone has any questions, they may ask. But going forward now, I'd like to go ahead and introduce myself once again. I'm Chair Carvalho. Welcome. And then to my immediate right.
Rossi Sukani. Bill.
And then.
Lori McCarney, thank you for attending tonight.
And online.
Hello.
Hi, this is Kevin Line.
All right, thank you. And
Hello.
Shalom.
Yes. Good evening.
All right, thank you. So we're hoping the other board members will get here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and call this board to order at 6 o'clock. This is when we started. We go with public safety reports, 5 minutes each. We'll start with the Honolulu Fire Department, please. Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Arakaki from Central Fire Station right down the road. These are the stats for last month. We had 6 nuisance fires, 5 activated alarms, 108 medical calls, 5 motor vehicle collisions, and that's it for incidents. On to the fire safety tip for the month, having to do with holiday decorations. Carefully decorating your home can help make your holidays safer. Ensure decorations are at least 3 feet from heat sources and do not block the exits. If you choose to use a natural tree, ensure it's watered regularly. As trees dry out, they become more and more flammable. Be careful with electrical decorations. Ensure they are used in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Always turn off Christmas tree lights before leaving home or going to bed. Always keep candles, matches, and lighters securely out of the reach of children. Remember to blow out all candles prior to leaving home or going to bed. Any questions for me?
All right, thank you very much. So do we have any questions from those in the public here in this library? Hearing none, seeing none. Any questions from anyone online? All right, seeing none. I want to thank you very much for your time. I do have one quick question, actually. So at the parade that we were at last time, I was sitting down with one of your commanders, and we were discussing about who owned the park behind your fire station. He said that you folks do, that you guys actually own it. And so we're talking about if there's any way we can turn that into a community garden. So if I can get a follow-up with the commander on that, I appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll follow up next month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays. Thank you. All right, next we have the Honolulu Fire Department, 5 minutes.
Yeah, good evening.
I'm at the Honolulu Police Department.
No problem. Good evening, Chair
Lieutenant
Cavallo and the
Sugusu.
board members and everyone in attendance. Lieutenant Arnold Sugusu representing the District 1 Honolulu Police Department. And here is your statistical information for this month of November. So motor vehicles thefts were 4. Previous to that were 12. So we have a big drop in that. Burglaries is 4. Previous was 3. Thefts is 32. Previous month was 39. UMVs or car break-ins were 15. Previous 13. Assaults were 17. The previous month 17. Sex assaults were 4. Previous month was 0. Graffiti cases for both months were 0, and drug offenses were 3. From the previous month, it was 7. Total cost for service was $2,023 compared to $2,132 in the previous month of September. So there's no criminal breaches to report at this time, but the motor vehicle thefts have definitely dropped in the area at this point in time for November. The awareness tip, safety awareness tip for the month of November will be about porch pirating. With Christmas around the corner, more and more packages and gifts will be arriving and to be delivered. Never send cash or gift cards via mail. Utilize more apps to send monetary gifts to friends and family. Also, with packages, if you are sending or receiving pricey items from Amazon or any other merchant, leave special instructions for them to leave, have them delivered to a person or at an address or leave at the facility for you to pick up on your own. Yeah. Criminals are on the prowl and are looking for easy scores. At this point in time, I'm going to yield back the rest of my time and take any questions from the board members and the public attendees.
Thank you, Lieutenant Segusio. I do appreciate. Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions for Lieutenant Segusio? Seeing none. Anyone online? Seeing none. Any board member? Go ahead, Board Member Laurie McCartney.
Thank you. Lieutenant, so a question I have about the drug offenses. So when we see somebody doing drugs on the street and we call to report it, when does it cross over then to being a reported drug offense?
Okay, so in that regard, we do get numerous calls about people using drugs in particular areas. So now when the officers get to the location, we have to observe the offense personally. Majority of the time, the callers never want to meet with the officers. And even with that, yeah, even if we get a we get a written statement from the caller, it's real difficult because a lot of things become closed containers, right? Even drugs in a closed fist is considered a closed container, and we need a search warrant in order to get into that. They put it in their pocket, and obviously they see us coming, so they hide. It's really difficult. Sometimes they also take these narcotic situations indoors, so it's real difficult. And when they do come out, they're only there for a brief moment. But continue to call. We'll continue to flood the area. That gives us at least probable cause to speak with the person and create a field contact report, and then list him down onto our field contacts. Yeah, so at least we'll have him on file, him or her.
All right, Board Member Lai.
Chair, Lieutenant, just to follow up on the previous question, discussing with constituents the idea of HPD must observe an infraction. What is the crossover then for other types of crimes? I mean, I hate to talk about murder. I mean, if you don't see the murder, something's got to allow you to investigate. So what is the transition there? And is there a certain class or designation of crimes to which that does not apply?
Very good question, Mr. Lai. Very good question. So in regards to that, just like I said, drug offenses are treated a little bit differently. Obviously, you know about hope probation, drug courts, so they're treated a little differently. Obviously, murders, attempted murders, eyewitnesses are very good people for us to interview, and then we can generate cases from those. They're treated a little differently, right? Obviously, they're also treated differently in regards to which division investigates them, right? So the narcotics division investigates all drug offenses, which is very difficult to prosecute if we don't witness it and officer doesn't witness it. Very few, just like I said, very few witnesses will be willing to meet with officers to give us a statement. And even with that, right? I mean, we approach the person. We need actual evidence in order to prosecute. Yeah. So if they hide the drugs, they put it in a closed container, they put it in their pocket. Literally at that point, we need a search warrant in order to go in there to get that item out. Yeah. Now, in a murder case, if you say that you saw a person holding a gun, and then, you know, we do a carry stop on the person, right? Because we have probable cause to stop that person to go and make sure that they're free and clear of any weapons. You know, during the pat down, that's when we can find, like, you know what I mean, what feels like a firearm on that person, and then we can further our investigations in regards to that. So two totally different types of cases. They're treated differently in the prosecutor's office, and they're adjudicated differently. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Board Member Laurie McCartney.
Okay, thank you. So if we want to reduce drug use on the streets, we want to reduce number of people feeding birds, we want to reduce people defecating on the street, then what should we do as citizens?
So you know, in regards to the drug offenses and stuff like that, I think that would be something that you might want to speak with prosecutors or the judiciary, because we do make a lot of drug arrests in regards to the Chinatown area, in the district, regardless, right? The entire district, we do make drug offense arrests, right? And it's usually majority of these drug offense arrests are subsequent arrests after, like an example for shoplifting or a DUI arrest. So it's usually a precursor, and then during the pre-incarceration search prior to us taking them into the cell block, we usually find the narcotics. In regards to that, we do generate those cases, but just like I said, they go to a different court. we have no control over how they prosecute the cases or what the penalties are for these people. Once we generate the cases and forward it to the prosecutors, it's pretty much in their hands. Now, in regards to like feeding the birds, defecating in public, maybe speak with the legislature. We do have laws in effect in regards to the feeding the birds part, and obviously the defecating in Chinatown. We do have laws like that. We do. I don't have the particular numbers at this point in time, but I can honestly tell you we haven't really cited anyone for feeding the birds. Defecating and urinating in public. We once in a while see citations come in for those types of offenses. So
All right, thank you. I do appreciate it. So we're gonna end the one with me. So mine is not really a question, it's just a statement. So these tents that are coming out on the streets where the people are building homeless, they're putting in beds, they're putting in TVs right on the sidewalk. So I understand that you guys are being sued, the city's being sued by the ACLU. So why cannot you guys use the laws of ADA? Because they have to have 36 inches for ADA people to get through. So why cannot we use that to go ahead and remove those tents?
okay, so in regards to those offenses, in regards to the tents, just like I said, right, due to the large construction situation that's proceeding into our district, right, these residentially challenged people are having to be displaced from those locations, right, because they're building on an elevated scaffolding or whatever, so they got to be moved. So they generally flow into Chinatown, right? In regards to them scavenging, I think that we must also look into our constituents because they put out a lot of bulky items, and unattended, yeah, and they put it out on days where, they're way ahead of the bulky pickup times and pickup. So they end up leaving it on the sidewalk and then they end up getting, picked up by these people and then taken into their tents and so on and so forth. So I think it's a multitude of things that we can do to fix this issue. Now, in regards to the lawsuit, if you continue to cause to any type of RCP situation, we'll deal with the criminality. Now, in regards to the ADA situation, we do have a sit-lie law in place. We do have Chinatown Task Force going out and giving out warnings in regards to those violations. But just realize this, right? We cannot issue the citation unless we refer them to a shelter.
99% APR for 2 years, or up to 1.00%
I don't know who's.
credit unions 2-year rate.
No, I can hear you.
Oh, okay, so in regards to that, right? What we're told and what we're having to do is before we can issue a citation or arrest, we must refer these people to a shelter. But at this point in time, city and county, Honu, all of that stuff is all booked up. Yeah, so there's no shelters or there's no beds available. So at that point in time, we cannot even issue a citation at this point in time. Yeah, so because it's not fair. Like we try to give them the referral, but we have no bed spaces or any positions for them to take or to go to. So it would be pretty much not what we would do because we just have nowhere for them to go, right? Even if they refuse, right? They have nowhere to go, so we cannot even issue a citation or even arrest at this point in time.
All right, I do appreciate it. Thank you for that answer. So thank you, Lieutenant Segusia, for visiting us. You have a happy holidays, all right?
All right, you too. You guys have a great night.
All right, thank you. All right, next we'll go ahead and we're moving on to presentation. First one is construction updates of Kaliki Mall with Hong Lee. Only time 10 minutes per minute. Thank you.
First 5 days of September. If you have a high risk factor, just for free.
Ready to go? Yeah. For the record, my name is Hong Li. I'm with the City and County of Honolulu Department of Transportation Services. Thank you, Chair and the Board, for this opportunity to provide an update on Kekaliki Mall. Next, please. I came to this board in March to refresh your memory. The construction cost is about 4.4 million. We started construction in April this year. Our work hour is from 9 to 5 during weekdays only. There is no work scheduled on weekend and holidays. Next, please. Kekaliki Mall is popular with both Kupuna and KKs. And going into construction, we understand the safety and access is vital for all the users. It's particularly important when you're considering all the business still recovering from the COVID. Next, please. So to that end, we have adjust our construction phasing into much smaller increments to allow vendors access during construction all the time. And we do work at slower pace, often much tighter space because of that. But there's no vendors or merchant had to shut down because our construction from March to this point. We are very proud of that. Every project ran into unforeseen conditions, but the utility challenges on Kekaliki Mall probably among the highest level I ever seen. The water line is old and shallow, and electrical is not where it's supposed to be. Several weeks ago, the Hawaiian Tel's cable was broken. The City Villa building lost internet connection for almost a week. But I give all the credit to my engineers. They've been for being so creative and swift in solving the utility conflicts for this project. Next, please. It's no secret we had some difficulty with HECO. Everybody on this island has difficulty with HECO. We tap into local knowledge from Paul Ming and Eric Wang, who knows the building like the back of their hands. We were able to fix some really complex electrical issues. Next, please. We have worked through some weather event. Last week's rain at least about 7 days of delay into our overall schedule. Next, please. So this is where we stand in terms of percent complete. The utility work is 100% complete. Demonstration is about 70%. Concrete work is about 70%. And landscaping, irrigation, electrical is all at about 50%. Overall, we about 70% complete on this whole project. In terms of project timeline, we are approaching substantial completion by the end of March. By that means by the end of March, we're gonna complete all the concrete work. And going into April, we will be able to do the lighting, irrigation, landscaping work. We plan to finish everything by the end of April. Next, please. With that, I'm open for any questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone from our audience from the library? Seeing none. Anyone online? Seeing none. So board members, Ross Isokani, please.
Hello, thank you for your presentation, all the good work and hard work your team is doing. Just had a curiosity. You talked about the reasons for delays, weather, certainly been bad, personnel, etc. Has there been a delay to your expected completion date? I saw that you gave us expected to be complete by 2024. Was there a delay from when you first started planning? And then the second question I would have is your budget was at 4.4 million, I guess. Is there an expected updated budget for the completion, especially given these delays?
Thank you. For first question, there have been some delay, mostly due to we have to cut the bigger construction phasing into smaller increment. Basically, whenever we're gonna have impact to the vendors, we give them at least 1 week of notice. Then on top of that, we also offer them a place they can relocate their staff. For that reason, a lot of work we schedule kind of concurrently on the mall. We cannot do that anymore. We have to allow, the vendor have room to operate. So we usually constantly working on a tighter space. So that's where the most delay is coming from. To your second question, the original budget is about 4.4 million for this construction. So far, we're still looking at the numbers we have in and out, but roughly, I think this project gonna stay under budget.
All right. Board Member Shulan Schubert Kwok.
Hi, Hong Lee. I'm sick, so my voice sounds a little funny. But
Not funny
anyway,
enough.
I want to congratulate you on the work on the Kekaliki Mall. It's been difficult, noisy, and dusty, and pedestrian had to walk kind of in a narrow area because of the equipment and everything. But so far, no casualties, which I'm very grateful. One of the issues we talked about was the demarcation line that we originally discussed was supposed to be a red brick line. And then I was told that Parks objected to that. I wrote a letter to the city director and also to Parks and DTS copying you. And the answer coming back from Parks was that they never was told and they never authorized not doing it. So I want to ask you to please put the line back.
Yeah, Chulan, that's right. I saw the letter myself, between you and the DPR director. The mall, as you know, is owned by our park department. But the day-to-day maintenance, like the striping for the merchant, actually was done by another department called the Department of Facility Maintenance. So I do have, because of your letter, I do have ongoing discussion with the other two departments. Look at, can try to evaluate our options. We do have an option. We're gonna put in the colored stone as a demarcation for that line. I also heard concern because the stone, once you have the stone, right, the stone sometimes not bright enough. It's not, that cannot defeat the purpose to show the line. And then another concern is once you have the stone, it's harder to put a paint over it because the stone doesn't have a lot of grip, right? It's not unlike concrete. You can paint and repaint whenever you want. The stone sometimes is kind of, don't have the friction, the grip to hold the painting. So that's an ongoing discussion, Chula, and I understand that's probably your biggest concern so far.
Yeah, I originally was under the impression when we discussed it was that it's just going to be the red brick line is actually consists of a red color brick and not a paint on. So if we have no more options on that, and then it will need to be painted either the bright traffic yellow or a red, because this will reduce a lot of complaints and also safety issue plus police hours, so that it will be better managed and observed if we have the demarcation line. That's very important to this mall. We worked on this mall for a whole 2 years. Put a
Excuse me,
demarcation line on.
Board Member Schubert Kwok, as I stated before, there is a time limit on these questions. And before you jumped into asking him more questions, you should have asked if you could have had a follow-up questions.
Yeah,
So
I'm
please-
sorry.
No. So please just ask the questions so
Yeah,
he can.
can I just continue, Chair?
Yes,
Because
ask the question.
I'm not watching the clock at this point. I'm sick
Ask the
in.
question. I'm watching the
Yeah.
clock.
Yeah, thank you. So may I continue?
Yes, you may ask the
Is there
question.
somebody
please.
else? Okay.
No, ask the questions, please, Shulan.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
ask the question.
So do you want me to ask you to get permission again?
No,
that
you
it-
can go ahead.
Oh,
Just
okay.
ask.
I'm very
Miss-
confused.
The
Yeah,
question,
because
please.
because this is an important thing, because I've invited Hong Lee to our CBCA meeting and that he's been on a trip. So I really appreciate this update, and I really want to have this issue handled the best way possible, only so that the community can benefit and all the departments have less issues with the enforcement of the section 60 26 29A.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a question, but
Yeah.
Chulan, that's still an ongoing discussion with DFM and Park.
Okay.
But I know, Chair.
Shalon. No.
Yes.
No. So I think that at this point, because he's not understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
And I think this is about Conley. Did you understand what she was saying? Is asking?
I think she asking
She's asking about the
Putting the-
demarcation lines?
yeah, demarcation line with the brick or maybe painting. I told her there's options we discussed with DFM, DPR.
Okay, can you go ahead and directly respond to her on this question?
The question is ongoing discussion.
Okay, so
I
it's
don't
still
have
ongoing at this
information
time.
yet.
So Shulon, this is still ongoing at this time. He said he doesn't have an answer to that question at this point.
So my question is, Chair, when would he know? Because I wrote the letter almost 2 months ago.
Okay, but he doesn't have the answer to
No,
that
I
question
can communicate
this
with him
time.
later on. Yeah. I don't want to hold up the session. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Shulon. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Board Member Laurie McCon.
Thank you, Chair. Hong Lee, can you give us a date when you will have an answer for what the demarcation will be so that we can plan for that? And understand it's still in process, but it's obviously very important. So if you can give us a date when either options will be provided or you'll have your final recommendation, just please let us know when that would be.
Yeah, I'm looking at maybe the end of December, so I'm still have discussion, ongoing with discussion with other
Okay.
engineers.
All right, so if you want to, you can email me that information and I will share it with the board, yeah?
Yeah.
You don't have to come back down for this. You can just email me, because you and I, we see each other in the streets and we talk. And
Yeah.
so I appreciate that, so we can go ahead and get Shulon's questions answered. I appreciate that, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any more other questions from the board? All right, hearing none, seeing none, thank you very much, okay?
Thank you.
You
Good
have a good
holiday.
day.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, bye-bye. All right, next up, we have the introduction of the new AC Marriott Hotel on Bishop Street by Patricia, and I hope I don't mispronounce your name, Mowad? And no, Daniel, or, okay, Texaria. And Texaria. Oh, you're Heidi. But they told me that this Patricia was gonna be here.
Yeah, I'm Daniel.
I'm Daniel.
Daniel Texaria.
And this is Heidi Vicente from our sales department. Thank you for having us tonight. We're excited to be here. Patricia couldn't be here, so the management team has been representing her, but we are excited to be opening the AC Hotel by Marriott on December 12th. So actually next week, where we'll be in downtown on Bishop and Hotel Street, which it is a adaptive reuse building of the Remington College, right? So converting it to a hotel. We have 112 rooms, and what we're providing you is our fact sheet of our hotel and what we're going to be offering, with the goal to really be a part of this new face of downtown Honolulu, and really hoping to revitalize the area. AC is a brand of Marriott hotels, so we are the largest actually brand of hotels in the world. And we are managed by Highgate here in Hawaii. So I'm part of that management team. So in our area, we'll have breakfast, lunch, dinner, restaurant. We'll have a speakeasy. There will be meeting rooms available for those that would like to rent spaces for your meetings, whether you're in business or in legislation. We are here to really bring a light to that corner. And it's been really exciting. So we're excited to open next week, Tuesday, the 12th. As our soft opening, and hope that you guys can come by and really experience this hotel.
All right, thank you very much. We're gonna start taking questions. Anyone has any questions for Daniel? No one in the library? Anyone online? I see no one online. Board members, we'll start with board member Kevin Lai, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just wonder if the handout that was distributed is available online within the next couple of minutes so we can satisfy sunshine law.
I can get that. You have it, right? Can we email that over to someone? Sorry. We were so to print it. Our apologies. Heidi can get that sent over to you. Absolutely.
So I will go ahead and work on that. Do we have anyone else that has a question? All right. Hearing none, I would like to say something. I did go into your hotel and I did speak with them and it was looking very good. So do your soft opening is on Tuesday?
Yes.
So we'll be able to get to see a room or two.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll be doing tours of the entire property. It will be guided tours.
All right.
We are in downtown.
And
But
and I know this is probably not a professional question to ask, but is your bar going to be open?
yes, it will be open. It will be open at 5 o'clock on the 12th.
Okay.
And there are some signature cocktails, beers, wines with over 11 different draft beers that are local beers. So it'll be a really great experience and we'd love to have you guys. So we'll all be there.
All right. I thank you very much for your time, except I do have a board member who would like to speak. Vice Chair John Fitzsimmons.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for the handout.
Thank you.
Just a real quick question. If you know what right now the initial price points for the rooms for rent, if you have any information on that, I'd be grateful.
Absolutely. So our current rates for December are kind of in about the 240, 250 price range. And that's because it is the holiday, right? So as you know, everyone coming to Hawaii, we are looking to make sure that we have available rates that make sense for the business traveler. I think that is our target market. While we welcome every guest to come and join us, we do target the business traveler. So around that price point is our goal. You will find different rates online that kind of fluctuate based off of the occupancy. There's no destination fee, resort fee of that nature.
All right.
Sales and marketing here.
Okay. And one more quick question. Are you going to offer Kama'aina rates?
The minor rates are always on the table.
Okay.
Always on the table.
All right. Thank you. Thank you guys very much for coming down. And I did get to have a sneak peek when I was there last time. So it's looking really good. It's going to be a great addition to our community. We appreciate it. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Daniel. I'll see you guys on Tuesday.
Yes, come on by. We're excited to have you guys. Thank you for having us.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you. Oh, happy holidays also. Next, we have the reuse conversion of 1060 Bishop Street from office building into affordable housing completion. Robert Cariso. Yeah. Cariso. Thank you.
Different budget for you.
Just for everyone online, yeah, we did get another handout, and I'll put this up first thing tomorrow morning onto the Google Drive. But please ask away any questions you may have after the presentation.
And the same information that I was handing out is available on our website created this morning, 1060bishop.com.
Okay.
But yes, my name is Robert Carisu, part of a group that's converting an old office building formerly occupied by HPU into affordable apartments. I don't know if anybody's familiar with Bill 7, but it's basically the city's effort to try and address the housing crisis by incentivizing, private folks. It's not publicly subsidized; it's all privately financed affordable housing. And so our project was an attempt to convert an old obsolete office building into affordable apartments. So it's expected to be completed in March, April of next year. And then hopefully have the units ready and people living in there, call it late April, May. In terms of where it is, people maybe or maybe not familiar where 7-Eleven is. You look upstairs, you can't really see much, but there's 7 stories of former office space there that's now kind of framed out. There's bathrooms, there's walls. It's coming together. So there'll be 52 units, 17 studios, 31 bedrooms, and 5 two bedrooms. Forgot my phone over there. But the rent start at 1,800 for the studios and go up to I think around 22 or 23 for the 2 bedrooms, all utilities included. Again, right, there's 7-Eleven downstairs, UPS store. There's 2 elevators. There's a rooftop deck, laundry facility. The entry will be secured. There's cameras. We have roaming security. There will be an on-site resident manager. Parking will be available in adjacent garages. So again, kind of like downtown, a lot of the office buildings the garages are empty overnight, so there's a lot of overnight parking. But we've made sure that there's parking available for those who have different working hours. There's bike storage and self-storage units there too, if people would like to rent. And again, yeah, next door is 24-hour fitness. There's 88 Mart around the corner, and then pretty soon there's going to be the new bakery cafe Paris Spaghetti next spring as well. The units are air conditioned, over 9-foot ceilings, LVT, which is like that the full wood type flooring, carpet in the bedrooms, tile bathrooms, and it's all black GE appliances and fixtures and hardware. And again, it's available for people earning 80% or less of the area median income. So I think for an individual, that's around 70 something thousand. And then for a 2-person household, that's I think in the 80s. But everything is available on our website. Also the income and charts and whatnot. It's a lot of detail, but it's not that complicated. But if you need more information or want to come check it out or just have any questions, you can email us, or you can also find a lot on our website that we created this morning. So happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Do we have any questions from anyone here in the library? Seeing none, do we have any questions from anyone online? All right. Seeing none, any board members with any questions? Go ahead, board member Rossi.
Mr. Carrizo, thank you for everything your company is doing, just as far as improvements around 4th Street. I know you've been doing a lot. Just a question, this is probably just for my education. Was any of the permitting and approvals done under the governor's emergency housing proclamation, or was that all done beforehand? Just curious. I'm guessing it probably wasn't, but if it was, what your
So we've
experience
been
with
working on this since June of 2020. So it preceded the governor's. But at the same time, I think it's all in alignment with the same mission and goal. And we actually hope to be able to do more projects like this, or at least other people can follow. So again, there's a lot of underutilized office space in downtown, and I think it's a good use, good sustainable use, because we're not tearing stuff down to build something new, right? It's reusing an existing shell. So I think it's a really efficient way to build housing. So we hope more people can do it. Yep.
Thank you. Any other board member? Go ahead, board member Laurie McCarney.
No, thank you. It's very exciting and great to bring more people into downtown. What are the things that you think need to happen in downtown to encourage more people coming into downtown and more development, or more of your kind of project, which is awesome, happening? What do you think are the things that we're most lacking?
I think a lot of it's will, but I think it's happening. There's other people looking at similar projects like this, and I see the process that we went through was hard because no one had really done it through this type of program before. But we really hope that other people will have an easier time the next time around. And it will only help downtown if more people are living and working, and it'll help clean up the streets and have a lot of more life come back. Retail will come back. It really helped the area, I think. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you. Next, we had board member Kevin Lai.
Oh, question?
I'll get to you next, sir.
Okay.
Go ahead, board member Kevin Lai.
Thank you, Chair. 2 quick questions to address. First, is this property the area that at one time was occupied by the HPU library and some other offices? Secondly, will your management team commit to becoming involved in some of the downtown improvement groups, such as that might provide patrols for the sidewalk areas, and how will your team plug in and help maintain the improvement of that block in particular and that street in general? And just like to know what your commitments will be or could be. Thank you.
Well, we've so I guess to your first question, I forgot it already.
First question was, yes, it was part of the.
Yes, it was
library.
HPU. So it was their library, offices, and I think the athletic department was in the basement. Once they moved out, everything needed to be remediated and gutted and cleaned up. And yeah, that's when we came up with the idea of doing housing. So we actually were gonna do a hotel first. And that didn't pan out. So we decided to go this route. But towards the second question, we actually already own and manage a bunch of the stuff on that block. So I apologize if we haven't been doing a good enough job. But part of the mission is to help clean up and revitalize this block. So including the area where Starbucks used to be. I don't know if you're familiar with that corner. Bringing back a new cafe there. And we're trying our very best to increase security. We have a lot of extra security patrolling some of our stuff on the mall side, 4th Street Mall side. And we've tried to increase their scope to kind of at least drive through, pass down Bishop Street, because we know that a lot of people like to hang out in front of 7-Eleven. So knowing that there's going to be residents, possibly young families, especially kids upstairs living in this building, it's really important to us that that area is safe and feels good. So we think this is a good step in the right direction. But yes, we are very committed to cleaning up this area.
All right, thank you very much. And next we have Board Member McDonald.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being here. My concern with this, and I understand that it's moving forward, so there's not really much that can be done. But as always, my concern when properties are converted from commercial to residential is that this is still Chinatown, and Chinatown is zoned as a commercial and industrial part of Honolulu. And while I appreciate the many residents that live here, and I want to encourage there to be more residents that live to come to our beautiful part of the city, how do you plan to prepare the people that want to move into your complex for the fact that they are moving into a 24 hours a day, constantly active and constantly, I don't want to say noisy, but there are activities here 24 hours a day. And, there's also a lot of homeless, which I believe Member Lai mentioned, but there's a lot of homeless and the crime related to homelessness, but not even including that. We have bars and restaurants and other activities that go quite well into the wee hours of the morning. And I think that residents that move into this neighborhood should be prepared.
Excuse me,
for
Board
that.
Member McDonald, can you get to the question and ask the
So
question?
my question is, how do you plan to prepare the people who may be interested in moving into your complex for the fact that they're moving into this type of environment?
Oh, good question. And for some people, I think they might think that's an attraction, being in the heart of action, being close to work. Bishop Street is actually part of downtown, not Chinatown. So it's zoned differently, being a business mixed use, which is why you have hotels across the street, office buildings, and residents as well. So I think everybody has a choice. And that's one of the great things about Hawaii and the US is that people have a choice. So people who live there will choose to be in the heart of a lot of action and noise and people staying up late. But that's part of, I guess we call it, right, the urban lifestyle per se. If that type of action isn't for them, then right, they have every right to live somewhere else. It's their choice to be there. So that's how we feel. It's not going to be for everybody, but we think for those that want to, they'll be very close to work. A lot of can walk to a lot of different things and be at the heart of a lot of action, for good or worse. So
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was an excellent answer actually to that. So we're going to do one more. Board member's going to ask one more question, and then we're going to end this with you. Okay. Thank you. Go ahead, Board Member Sean Fitz.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Cruz? How you doing? Just a quick question. I just, I didn't realize you guys were responsible for that security patrol on Fort Street with respect to the other, properties that you guys manage there. Um, and, one of our central concerns as like board members for the downtown Chinatown neighborhood board area is the crime, area there. Do you receive any statistics from the private security teams that you do employ that patrol the Fourth Street Mall? And if so, are they relayed to HPD at all for their edification with respect to the ongoing criminal activities there?
That's a good question. I've actually never asked. Never asked if they have any type of stats, but I mean, even if it's anecdotal, right? How many citations or interactions they've had, or how many times they've had to call the police? That's actually a fair question for me to ask them. Again, yeah, we hired them because, like I was telling Ross earlier, we acquired that property in March of 2020 at the beginning of COVID, and we knew we are kind of in for a pretty long ride. So yeah, we're very much committed to, helping clean up the area. So I appreciate the question, and yeah, I'll try and get back to you on that. Yeah.
Thank you. Really, thank you very much for your presentation and what you guys are doing. And you're correct. Those that want to live here will live here. If they want to live next to noise, they'll go back to the airport. That's how it is. All right. Thank you very much. You have a good day. Thank you. All right. Next, we have updates regarding the piers in neighborhood board area. As far as the future access of the bridge, he couldn't make it. So go ahead and introduce yourself again.
Thank you. Aloha, I'm Dre Kalili. I'm the DOT Deputy Director for Harbors. I understand there were some questions that came up at last month's meetings. We just have a couple of slides to give you some background as to what's happening in Honolulu Harbor, and then I'll be available to answer questions. So our harbor system operates statewide as a hub and spoke, with Honolulu Harbor as our hub. In Hawaii, we need to import 80% of all the goods that we consume in state, and 99% of those enter our state through our harbor. And specifically, they land at San Island. So that's a critically important piece of our state's economy. Next slide. Here's the footprint of Honolulu Harbor, and you can see which parts of this neighborhood district's area touch which parts of Honolulu Harbor. Next slide. We've been going through for the better part of, I would say, 20 years, what we call harbors modernization. And when you think of how cargo came into Hawaii and into Honolulu Harbor, this is generally how it was done, right? On sailing ships, cargo came in bales. Cargo was moved in nets and on pallets. And if you can go up to the next slide. So Honolulu Harbor in the 30s was just tons and tons of warehouses, because that's what was needed to accommodate the cargo in the manner that it was coming in. So you can see buildings all over the waterfront that were all warehouses to store that cargo. Unfortunately, as cargo started moving in containers as early as the 1950s, we didn't catch up. And we kept the warehouses when containers don't need warehouses for that storage. So over the last, I would say 30 years, we've been tearing down a lot of warehouse space to accommodate a more modern harbor. Next slide. So this is what a modern harbor looks like. And it's not just Honolulu Harbor, but if you go to any modern harbor across the United States or across the globe, you'll see flat, open, concrete, hardened space, and you'll see stacks of 40 or 20-foot cargo containers. And that's what we are redeveloping all our harbors, not just Honolulu, but our 9 ports across the state to look like. And we have a couple of projects that are huge happening in Honolulu, and I just want to walk you through them. Next slide, please. So the areas highlighted here on the map are generally where we have big projects either currently ongoing or planned. The big one is the Kapalama Container Terminal in pink on the left side of the screen. That has been under construction since 2018. It is a 2-phased project. It is the addition of 84 acres of cargo terminal space in Honolulu Harbor, and the addition of 1,800 linear feet of berth space for very large vessels. So the plan is, right on the screen, you'll see the Sand Island Container Terminal. In the blue portion is where Matson operates. In the green portion is where Pasha Hawaii operates. So Pasha will move off of Sand Island onto Kapalama Container Terminal. That's the first big shift. Matson will then operate across the entire Sand Island Container Terminal. And what you'll find if you observe our operations at Sand Island is our operations are very congested. We need to take a lot more cargo than we have space for. So the addition of this new cargo yard is a huge game changer for our operations in Honolulu Harbor. Kapalama Container Terminal is set to be completed in early 2025. And once that's done, the next big project we'll work on is one, the redesign of Sand Island Container Terminal, but also the redevelopment of our inner island barge terminal at Piers 3940. That's where Young Brothers currently operate. So that's around Nimitz and Waikimilo. And then in the purple trapezoid shape at the upper center part of the screen, that's Piers 19 to 23. And to give you a point of reference, that's where the flour mill and silos are. And there's a lot of warehouse space there. Those warehouses were built in the 20s, and we need to, one, remove those, and two, redevelop that space to meet current demands for waterfront space. And then the last area on this map is Piers 7. That's where the Hawaii Maritime Center is. So these are just to give you an idea of what we'll walk through in the next couple of minutes. Next slide, please. So this is an aerial shot of the Kapalama Container Terminal under construction. For those of you who might be familiar with the area, that was the old Kapalama Military Reservation. And that also used to be old Quonset huts and warehouses, and tenants were just kind of scattered throughout that area. So we had to develop several facilities to relocate those tenants. And then we had to knock down all those warehouses and Quonset huts, do a lot of grading and pouring concrete. I think my project manager told me that we used 800,000 cubic yards of concrete for this project, or we will upon its completion. But we're making great progress. We've had some schedule delays, but we will be on track and on budget. Next slide. So once that project is done, we'll focus on the Sand Island Container Terminal redesign. In the upper, on the left side, on the picture on the top, you can see that's what Matson's operation area looks like. And then the photo on the bottom is where the Pasha area, that's, you know, what their operations are like now. And so we'll work with Matson once Pasha vacates and moves into KCT to redesign and just make sure it's an optimal setup for their operation. For us, we try very hard to make sure that our facilities are such that vessels can come in, offload the containers, get dropped on a truck, head out the gate, and head to a store shelf or whatever the final destination is. If we don't do our job, a store shelf somewhere is empty, and we want to make sure that we're not the hiccup in our local supply chain. Next slide. So the next project, so this is neighboring to Kapalama Container Terminal, is the Young Brothers facility. And you can see how it's currently configured with like two large, I'll call them prongs. And it's not a very efficient design. And when I talked about getting, you know, cargo off ships and onto shelves, the design of the terminal is kind of everything and how quickly that cargo can move. Next slide, please. So this is what we're planning to do for this redesign. We're going to knock off the end of those two prongs, and we're going to infill that area between the two berth areas to have a solid operating area. So it'll be a net gain of about 4 acres to just make the movement of cargo for our inner island customers as efficient as possible. This we expect will be about between $400 and $500 million project. We're just starting the initial environmental phase right now, and we probably will not start construction here until 2029 or so. We've still got quite a bit of work to do on design, but just as a preview, this is what we have planned. But to do this kind of work, we're going to have to shut down the Young Brothers operation at this site for the duration of the construction, which means we'll need to relocate them and probably some other waterfront operations to other facilities that we have in Honolulu Harbor. So there will be some growing pains and pain points as we get through this, but it's absolutely necessary to ensure our hub and spoke harbor system work. Next slide, please. And then here are those flower mill and silos that I mentioned earlier. So this whole area, these are all warehouses that I said were built in the 20s, and we need to tear them down. The flour mill and silos have not been in operation since 2014. I would love to have a tenant come and repurpose it, maybe storage it for some other kind of material. We've had people pitch us an idea about cement storage. That could very well be a thing. Others have said battery storage. So we'll get to a point where we can repurpose that. But our primary goal is to demolish all the warehouses that are in that area and redevelop a facility that we know is going to be needed not only today, but for the foreseeable future, probably cold storage and other similar facilities that we just don't have. And while we try to maximize the value of what we have, we really do need to just demolish and redevelop these areas. So especially in this area, while it just might look like some sleepy warehouses, please know that the warehouses are packed to the brim. They're used for storage for a variety of users on the waterfront. And then of course we have the old super ferry terminal at Pier 19. That is going to be the new home for Young Brothers admin office for the foreseeable future, as we start this transition that I was describing. So we will need every square inch of space that DOT controls on the waterfront to accommodate some of the growth and redevelopment that we have planned. And the last slide, this is the Hawaii Maritime Center at Pier 7. Has not been used as the museum, I think, since 2008. We recently issued a auction. We did a public auction, and we are working with a tenant, and we're very excited about it. We're not quite ready to announce who will be moving into that site, but just know that we will make an announcement. I would expect within the next 6 months, once we get a little further along in the lease negotiations. But exciting times for Honolulu Harbor.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate the presentation. Do we have any questions from anyone in the library seated here today? Go ahead, Senator Rhodes, please.
I read the other day that Amazon is building a large, can you point out on the map where that is? Just curious.
If you could pull up the slides and that big one with Honolulu Harbor. I think it's like the second. Yes. So where that pink shape is the Kapalama Container Terminal, and then there's like a big open lot to the left. That's where Amazon is building. And it's not in the pink. So it's the former Servco site. So Servco sold to Amazon, and it's under construction right now. It's right on the corner of Owiki Street and San Island Access Road.
All right. Any further questions from anyone in the library? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. Any questions from any board members? We'll start with Laurie McCarney, since she made me get him out there.
Yeah, my question was because we were in Pier, operating out of Pier 19 and we needed to move. So that just caused the question of, okay, what else is going on? So is Harbors doing anything with the big Harbors warehouse and the parking there with Aloha Tower? You talked about maritime stations are coming in. And those things are in our district. Is there anything in there that you could give us any little bit of insight into and what might happen in our neighborhood?
So I believe what is actually in this neighborhood boards area is the Aloha Tower complex. So Pier 7 is the only thing that Harbors is really driving and has really on the radar right now. In the Aloha Tower marketplace, there's the lease with Hawaii Pacific University. So there's no intended changes happening there. And any new tenants in that marketplace are the responsibility of HPU. There are always people interested in developing parcels like where Pier 5 and 6 are, the parking lot for Aloha Tower. But usually when we get down to it, there's just no interest, right? The numbers don't pencil. So we don't have anything on deck right now, but that can always change. And then if we move west around Honolulu Harbor, the next area would be 19 to 23, Piers 19 to 23, where the super ferry terminal is. So we have Young Brothers moving in there. We have the flour silos. We have those warehouses. So we will be issuing an RFP probably in January or February for the planning and design for the redevelopment of that space. And then as we move further west, there are just pockets of vacant properties, but we don't have any immediate, like we know we have the need to redevelop there just because they're old warehouses, they're old buildings, and there really needs to be some reinvestment. But our priorities are going to be, making sure the cargo terminals are operable and working.
Go ahead. You may have this follow-up.
So the follow-up, so as far as the redevelopment of 19 to 23, are those for, do you see those as part of your hub and spoke thing, or would you be developing them with a different objective in mind?
It would be to support maritime operations and cargo.
All right, thank you. Before we go to you, Mr. McDonald, Mr. Lai had his hand up from the beginning. So Board Member Lai, please.
Thank you, Chair. Two quick topics. First, I understand that the state will likely benefit from the expansion of the capabilities of Matson and Pasha, for example, but did they contribute anything significant to the actual costs of the redevelopment and other projects? Just wondering about the public versus private funding for this. And that's really the main question that I have about that. Secondly, I understand from the chair that maybe we don't have an update tonight about the issues that Mr. Lee had discussed with us several years ago about enclosing Honolulu Harbor for seawater rise protection, and then also generating a second entrance in case there was a dread incident that would really jam up our harbor pretty dangerously. Thank you.
Thank you.
So lots of questions. So DOT Harbors is a self-funded enterprise. So we don't get any general funds from the state legislature. We don't get any federal formula funds. So where do we get our money? We charge our harbor users fees for everything. So there's a fee to enter the port. There's a fee to tie up to a pier. There's a fee for every container gets offloaded a ship. And so before we ventured on, this modernization plan, we sat down with all the harbor users and said, hey, if we set the fees at this level, this is how we can finance these projects. So just to give you an example, for every 45-foot container that's offloaded off overseas ship, we collect $300. So those ships come in at least twice a week, 2,000 containers per shipment. That gives you a order of magnitude of how we generate the revenue to pay for these projects. The other question you had was about the bridge. There has been a lot of discussion about a lock-in dam system. We are in active conversations with the Army Corps of Engineers just to make sure we can manage port resilience from that perspective. I believe the Army Corps has ruled out the idea of one, a second opening, and two, the lock-in dam system. I would defer to you just on additional details that Army Corps is better equipped to answer. But as far as the bridge goes, it's not lost on me, right? The critical nature of this infrastructure at Honolulu Harbor. Port resilience is very important. Sea level rise is very important. And there are a couple of ongoing efforts to make sure that we're covered on all fronts. What we found with regard to that entrance where the bridge currently is it's only wide enough for certain kinds of vessels. And if you really look at the vessels that come through Honolulu Harbor, it could accommodate fishing vessels and the smallest tug and barge combinations that we have. So reopening that bridge doesn't give us a whole lot more utility. But of course, in an emergency situation, right, every little thing could help. But our focus is really on keeping Honolulu Harbor operational and restoring that operations if it's ever disrupted.
Yeah.
And then if you have specific questions just like about the bridge from the highway standpoint, I'm happy to take that back to my highways counterparts.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we have Board Member McDonald, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for being here. Actually, Member Lai kind of stole a little bit of my question. I was wondering where your financing was coming from. I think you mentioned that the price tag for this project is going to be approaching $500 million, which seems like quite a lofty price tag, although certainly more efficient than our rail system project. But I'm curious if you could follow up with that. You are here from the Department of Transportation. So what is the government's role in this project?
Oh, okay, great question. So I want to clarify, the Kapalama Container Terminal price tag is $555 million. Young Brothers redevelopment is probably another 400 to 500. And then the Sand Island redesign is going to be several hundred more million. So we're talking about an investment of close to $1 billion. And so what is the role of DOT in these projects? So our kuleana is basically to make sure that all our facilities are in good working order for those ships and the cranes and everything to work. So I'm responsible for the paving, potholes, to make sure the fenders, like the rubber tires along the pier faces, are in good condition so the ships can come in. Same for cruise passenger ships, right? We run the terminals and we make sure the air conditioning works so, you know, our passengers and guests aren't fainting as they're getting on and off the ship. And then for that, we collect those fees for the use of our facilities. So we make sure everything works. And then the shipping companies are our partners in making sure that the cargo or passengers in certain cases, you know, can use the facilities appropriately.
All right, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. All right, we'll take one more question. Go ahead, Board Member Ross Isukani. This will be the last question as we run out of time on this segment. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for everything you do, because obviously shipping is extremely important to our way of life. We get everything from the mainland. We eat everything from the mainland. You know, that's part of the reason why our cost of living is so expensive. That and the Jones Act probably plays a part. So I'm curious, these projects are expensive. I appreciate that you're self-funded, but those costs are ultimately passed on to us. Why aren't we getting federal funding? I mean, there's like $1 trillion infrastructure act there.
So unlike airports and highways, we don't have a steady formula of funding, right? So though my counterparts get, you know, set amount of money every year from the federal government, from the FAA for airports and from federal highways, there's just not that equivalent program set up for maritime operations in the federal government. However, all that infrastructure money that's now on the table, we are eligible to apply for, and we have. So I was appointed to this role a year and a day ago. And since then, we have applied for $60 million in federal money. We're waiting to hear for quite a bit of that. And we have been awarded $24 million in federal money. We just got that notification on Halloween. So we're trying, and it's not lost on me that every dollar of not harbor user fee money that I can pull into the enterprise delays us from having to increase those fees to support that. So I know I don't want to contribute to any increases in our already high cost of living. So we're looking at all kinds of options, some creative financing, some other federal resources, and of course, grants.
All right, thank you. I do appreciate it. Before you leave, could you please repeat your name?
Yes. Dre Khalili, DREKALILI.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate your time. Thank you. All right, next we're going to go ahead and we're moving on to climate and community resilience. Miko Lantini, Center for Resilient Neighborhoods. Serene, you should be online, right?
Yes, hello. Hi, we are here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Please give us your name and please continue. You got 10 minutes.
Thank you. Aloha, Chair Ernest, Neighborhood Board, and community members and guests. My name is Christopher Pasqua, and I am grateful for the opportunity tonight to present an update on the Oahu Neighborhood Resilience Hub Network project. This is a project that we have been conducting in collaboration with the University of Hawaii and the City and County of Honolulu Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency, as well as Kapiolani Community College. My organization is called Serene, the Center for Resilient Neighborhoods. And we are supporting outreach and coordination for this project. And tonight, I'm really excited to share a quick overview of the project and also some updates. As we have been here in the past and presented to you, we wanted to come back and give an update on that, on the project. The project was officially launched about a year ago, working with the City and County of Honolulu. Someone has come to this neighborhood board in the past at some point, but as a refresher, the city published a strategy back in 2019 that laid out 44 actions to help make Oahu more resilient to natural disasters or other types of emergencies. And the 15th of those 44 actions that was identified was to create a network of community resilience hubs. So I'm just going to go in here to explain the definition of what is a resilience hub. They are community-led or operated physical spaces, usually in existing building, used to help communities meet different needs and goals. They are primarily run by community members, but are supported by local government agencies and also nonprofit organizations. So a hub is not necessarily a shelter. It's supplemental to the existing shelter system run by the county in the Department of Emergency Management. Um, Hubs can provide a temporary sheltering, but they tend not to be um, the large that large, and these are meant to be supplemental to the existing system. So think about a hurricane where the majority of people are sheltering in place at home. And they are without power for 2 weeks, or at home without water, or they run out of food supply. And so a resilience hub would be where in your neighborhood would you go if you were sheltering in place? That would be your hub. So this is a slide that we have used with our K through 12 children when doing youth engagement, when we were doing outreach about resilience hubs. And a hub can be people, it can be pop-ups, it could be preparedness pods with non-perishable food, it can be a big building, a small building like a church, community center, shopping area. In most places, they already exist, serving your local community. And so uh, that's kind of how we are defining a hub. And it doesn't have to be a brick and mortar building. It can be something like a fish pond or a lo'i, and that's something that we're exploring right now as the definition is evolving, going beyond brick and mortar in the end. A hub is looking more like a trusted gathering place. So the goal of the Action 15 project was a kickoff project for the network of resilience hubs on Oahu with the city and county, was to develop partnerships, identify locations, and work with the community all around hubs. So the project started in 2022, and in the green phase, we mostly focused on conducting an island-wide survey to get people's opinions and thoughts on hubs, to find out how supportive they were, and to identify locations. Then in the blue phase, we focused on community engagement and workshops, and really hearing from people about what places they would recommend and what the specific needs that they have are. Right now, we published the report from this work, and we are moving toward creating a hub learning community, or HLC, which is coordinated by Serene with the city, moving into more of an advisory role. The city is moving into more of an advisory role as the community takes the lead. For the workshops, we focused on 8 main planning regions with a big focus on the neighborhoods. We've had many neighborhood board members participate in these workshops, and we have tried to keep presenting periodically at the neighborhood board meetings with updates. We just went to Mo'iliili neighborhood last night and hosted a workshop at the Japanese Cultural Center. And we have some quick photos of some of the workshops that we've conducted across the island. We have a workshop in North Shore from Ko'olaupoco, Ko'olauloa, East Honolulu, Hawaii Kai area, Waianae Coast, and the primary urban center, which of course is where this neighborhood resides. And we ended up with over 3,000 people engaged. Over 100 events have been hosted, and we plan to keep this up, supporting the growing hub learning community and networks of hubs on Oahu. And of um, a key outcome of our report is that we have identified over 156 potential hub locations, and these were mostly brick and mortar existing buildings, but now we are moving gradually more into conversations about beyond these kinds of existing buildings to sacred places and heritage areas, and asking how Aina-based resilience fits into this network. So we saw a lot of other things that we saw in the recent series of workshops. We've seen intergenerational learning, including last night. We've seen voting, laughing, talking, even some finding of errors, learning, and lots of positive testimonials have come out of these workshops. And our facilitators have actually struggled to keep everyone on time and keep within the time because there was just so much to share. And the community also helped us a lot with identifying needs and next steps for specific regions, hubs, and neighborhoods. So beyond things like increasing energy resilience, food resilience, and improving transportation corridors, some of the shared themes across the 8 different planning regions include the outcome that people wanted, localized networks of hubs. So not just one hub, but a little micro network of hubs. The need for practical skills trainings, and the need for maps, and GIS participatory planning, and that the hub was seen as a trusted gathering place. So those were 3 of our big takeaways, and there were over 200 specific next steps and actions that were identified, and those are things that you can actually access in the appendices of the report that was just published, which I'm going to provide to everyone. It's available digitally to share out as well. And also a few needs that emerged throughout the process, which was the need for now fire resilience planning, as well as urban heat design. Also, the need for more support coordinating island-wide as hubs step up to help their communities. I also wanted to end on this slide before we move into some of the next steps, which is to share our unique focus on student voices and youth engagement as part of this process. And that's something that stands out about the Center for Resilient Neighborhoods is because we are based out of Kapi'olani Community College, and we really want to support students getting real-life civic engagement experience, and also climate resilient workforce training is really important to us. So we run the Resilient Core Leadership Award program, and the students are literally at the heart of the work that we do, and they make it possible to host all of these engagements, events, and they are really our future leaders, research professionals, and experts in neighborhood resilience who can integrate sustainability and resilience planning into the career and community. So the next steps for the project going forward and the invitation for all of you are to read the Big Action 15 report that just came out with all of this information, which has much more detail than I would be able to share here and much more detail than I've shared. And you can use the URL that's on the screen or the QR code. You can scan that to just see what's happening and check in. You can also join the Hub Learning community. That's what we're calling the HLC. And we're building an advisory council right now to guide and grow the HLC going forward. And you can attend our monthly talk story Zooms, which will kick off in February, as we'll be bringing different subject matter experts to these and start scaling up community leaders across the island. And you can also help us grow the network and sign up for newsletters and updates. So I want to say mahalo nui loa, chair, board, participants, everyone. If you'd like to follow our work more, you can sign up. I'll send some information in the chat, or you can send me an email. I will also drop my information in the chat. So thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to hearing any questions that you might have. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it, Mr. Pasquale. All right, so do we have anyone in our library here sitting that would like to ask Christopher any questions? See none, hearing none. Anyone online who would like to ask Christopher any questions? Hearing none, see none. We're going to start off with Board Member Lai, who sat his hand up, I believe, into 2 minutes into this presentation. Go ahead, Board Member Lai.
Thank you, Chair. And Mr. McCoy, thank you for the presentation. Just wondering, I saw from the very end and clicking on the URL provided by your colleague that you're part of a city and county office. I wonder if you have a specific sub-budget. How much has this cost? What you anticipate spending on this project over the next couple of years, if you've projected that out? Secondly, seeing what happened on Maui, do you feel like that was a pretty good acid test of what your plans and vision may have been had you been working on Maui instead of here on Oahu? And how will you translate that experience to what you anticipate doing? And then lastly, how in the world will you narrow down 200 specific next steps? Thank you.
Thank you. So to address the first question, I'm actually going to, after I kind of address some of those questions, I'm going to pass it over to Miku Lenentine because well, we run mostly off of grants. And so Miku is the one that usually is is applying for those grants and is in that process. So I know that she'd be able to give you a more comprehensive answer than I could. So I'll pass it over to her after. In terms of Maui, I'm also going to pass that forward to her, but I will say that what we have seen in our workshops and our community engagement is that after the disaster that occurred in Lahaina, we have started to see an increase of conversation on fire resilience, and that is becoming a working part of our planning process. And it's scaling up a lot more, especially in conversation. It's been at the forefront of a lot of our conversations, especially last night. And I'm sorry, the last question was, if you could remind me.
Certainly, with 200 specific next steps, how do you narrow that down to make an actionable plan?
Right. So the way that we are narrowing it down right now is that we're still in the planning phase. And so during these workshops, as we talk with the community, the list has actually been growing and shrinking at the same time, where people are giving us write-ins as well, places that they think could be hubs. And then we are also going through, and the community is assessing the possible functions that that a specific hub can provide, and to what degree. So they go through and they rank if a certain location is a good spot for perhaps a helicopter landing in the event of a disaster. But if it is not an open and accessible area, then that would be lower scored. And so kind of looking at the rankings, that's kind of where we're able to make those distinctions. But I think that Miku would be able to give you a more comprehensive answer for all three of those. So at this moment, I'm going to pass it over to her.
Okay, we wanted to give Chris a chance because a big part of this work is empowering our youth and having them step up. Nice job, Chris. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I've just had camera off here. But just to answer the first question, to clarify, so we are not with the city and county. We, Serene, is part of Kapiolani Community College. The city and county was a partner on the kickoff study or project to identify all of the different hubs on Oahu to start with. They are now moving into more of this advisory role with us, and we're actually still kind of working out like how that partnership will work. Our community partners have expressed that they actually would like us to take more of a lead and have the city be a little bit more, I don't know, say backseat is not the best way to say it, but just a little bit more, because the effort is meant to be community led ultimately. So that's just one thing to clarify. So in terms of a budget, Serene is fully grant funded right now, but the main operations expenses that we have are to help support convening and coordinating the network. That's our big focus right now. And then in conversations with city and county, they're going to try to help become, I guess, keep the eye out for different funding opportunities. And we're still working right now on a really good mechanism for how to make sure that we can get that funding to communities. So I don't have a good budget for you yet. We're in the moment of sort of reconfiguring after this first big process. And I would also say that kind of a shout out, we're looking for a nonprofit to partner with so that I, as kind of the main coordinator, would have a co-coordinator, because nonprofits it's much easier to get funding directly to communities through them. So that's one of the other things that we're looking for. But hopefully that helps address the first question. And let's see, so then we had Maui, and then, oh, the 200. Yes, I know. So this is really amazing that we had so many specific actionable items, and they're actually by neighborhood. So if you go into the appendice of the report, not only can you see them by region, you can see them by neighborhood, which is phenomenal that we're able to get that level of granularity on what we can accomplish. But who's the we? So because so much of this is meant to be community driven, it's really kind of one hub at a time, or sort of one region at a time, that's sort of taking the lead in the projects. So in some ways, we're not trying to like narrow down the scope, because it's really each community has their priorities and their needs. So in a way, it's sort of up to them, and we can provide support. And one of the ways that we're going to be doing that is through monthly talk story sessions. They've asked for more training. So one of the things we'll be doing is bringing in subject matters experts for monthly talk story sessions, and then we'll invite the heads, the leaders of all of these different organizations and hubs to come to those sessions, and so that we can facilitate kind of cross-island learning, as some hubs take the lead in some areas, maybe food resilience, right? Others are focusing more on energy. So it's sort of up to each hub to identify their own priorities, but we want to help facilitate the learning process.
All right, so thank you very much for that. So when Board Member Lai asked for the 3 questions. I was under the impression that Christopher answered the 3 questions, and it seemed that he answered 3 questions, and then Miko, you went and answered 3 questions again. So what we want to do going forward is that one person answered these questions that he had asked, and so we can move on to the next, yeah? We are limited on our time, but thank you very much. Does any other board member here have anything else to say? All right, not seeing none. Miko, Christopher, thank you very much for the work you guys do. And I'll go ahead and spread everything out into Google Drive again. All right, thank you. All right, you guys have a good day. Thank you. All right. Happy holidays to everyone that's been already presented. Next, we're going to go to public concerns. We got 2 minutes each. Is anyone here in the library has anything to say on public concerns? Seeing none, hearing none. Next, we're going to go to Mr. Kevin Lai. You have 2 minutes, Kevin Lai.
Chair, I rise today to present some information that was shared with me by a constituent over the past couple of weeks about some concerns in her neighborhood near the intersection of Kukui Street and Nu'uanu Avenue. And I believe that these were concerns arising from sequelae of the Neil Exchange van, about which we have spoken and have had several meetings within the public over the next couple of months. I relay these to you as they were sent to me from a constituent, and I think the concerns were of some of the activities that were observed near or within close proximity of the Neil Exchange van itself, and hopefully we can come to a good resolution of relocation or location of these activities in the future. I'm not sure if Janice, the resident, is here online, but if she was, she was going to speak over these images as well. Secondly, I just wanted to relay that there are ways to do good police substations that are nice and bright and shiny and well lit and well signed. So I just want to relay that we need to look outside of our own jurisdiction sometimes for those opportunities. And it's going to be, I think, a change to return in the next little while to look at bridge overpasses that are not filled with blue tents and others. And I'm trying to figure out what code has been cracked by the jurisdictions to resolve some of the problems that we face. And as always, the roosters are always back at us. Just a plug in for the Citizen Patrol at the end of my 2 minutes. We'll see you on Tuesday, January 9th at 7 p.m. Diamond Head Tower, Kukui Plaza. Put into your GPS 1261 Fort Street. Hope you can join us, and we'll continue to make observations and report on them at the appropriate times next year. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thank you very much. Is anyone else wants to come up for public concerns? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll go ahead and start moving to elected officials. 5 minutes includes questions, okay, people? All right, first up is Congressman Ed Case representative. Is he here tonight? Not seeing him? We'll go ahead and move on. Hold on. So next up, we have Governor Josh Green's representative, Sean Hamamoto, please.
Good evening, Chair Carvalho, board members. Happy holidays. Happy to be here. Before I get into the responses, I just really quick wanted to bring to everyone's attention again our Hawaii Fire Relief Housing Program. I know I did mention this a few months ago, but the reason why I'm bringing it up again is because there's still a need for this. So I did email a copy of this flyer to the chair, and I left some.
It's on a Google line.
Oh, great. Thank you, Chair. And I did leave some copies out there for the public. I'll get into the responses from last month's meeting. First, Board Member McDonald, can the PUC do anything to encourage the lowering of electricity rates? The response from the PUC. Thank you for your question regarding Hawaiian Electric's rates. The Commission is acutely focused on improving the affordability of customer bills. We are working to reduce costs overall, increase programs to help customers pay their bills, improve energy efficiency, and move the state away from fossil fuels so that we aren't subject to the price of volatility of global fuel markets. For example, because fuel costs represent about half of customer bills, increases in fuel prices are typically the biggest driver in customer bill increases. Over the past couple of years, oil prices have risen dramatically, so customers are seeing a corresponding jump in their bills. The commission has been encouraging and incentivizing the transition to renewable energy for many years to reduce exposure to these price spikes. Additionally, the commission is exploring energy quality and justice through docket number 2022-0250, which will include a focused work stream on improving affordability and payment assistance. You can read more about the docket and sign up for the email on the PUC webpage. If you have any more questions or want the commission to come speak about better ways to manage bills, we'd be happy to chat further, or we recommend that you reach out to Hawaiian Electric and hawaiienergy.com to explore their programs. Next, Board Member Lai, is there anything being done to regulate the homeless who frequently camp out on the Diamond Head side of the state capitol? This response comes from the statewide Office of Homelessness and Housing Solutions. Thank you for contacting the statewide Office of Homelessness and Housing Solutions. The individuals that were camped out on the Diamond Head side of the Capitol were swept out of this area on October 27th, 2023. On this day, some folks were relocating. SOHHS was informed by the sheriffs that they would be arrested if they failed to vacate the area by the time of the sweep and or if they return later on. On a broader perspective, SOHHS understands that homelessness imposes burdens on businesses and neighborhoods, as well as our unhoused neighbors. They have also learned that quick fixes like sweeping people from place to place aren't a solution. Sweeps spend taxpayer dollars on temporary relocation and make it harder for people to get off the street permanently. Rather than passing the buck from one neighborhood to the next and deepening homelessness, the focus of SOHHS is to spend its limited time and resources on a more permanent solution, creating deeply affordable spaces where people can be housed and healed. In general, for the board's information, health emergencies and crime should be reported to authorities by calling 911. On Oahu, 911 callers can request a trained crisis intervention officer to respond to instances where someone may be experiencing a mental health crisis. The SOHHS also has a homeless help resource guide where additional information can be found about the state contracted outreach provider for various areas. They thank the board for their concern, and there's a link to this resource guide, homelessness.hawaii.gov /help/. And then Board Member Isokane would like an update regarding the governor's emergency housing proclamation. Okay, the second proclamation relating to affordable housing signed October 24th, 2023, and any successive proclamations issued reinstates the Sunshine Law for the Build Beyond Barriers Working Group meetings. The meetings will be virtual, and all meeting materials and information will be posted to the governor's housing team website. Also, this updated proclamation revised the exemption to section 201H-28A3 HRS, specifying that only state affordable projects that have already received approval from the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation are exempt from statutes and rules that require the approval of the county council where the housing project is located. There are a couple of project applications that they have received and are currently under review by the team. Their next meeting is tentatively scheduled for December 20th, 2023 at 10 o'clock a.m. And Chair, you did call me about an additional concern regarding the Kauhale. The governor's office did put me in touch with Dr. Michael Champion. When I emailed him, I got a out of office response saying that he'd be out for the rest of the week. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to reply, but I will follow up on this for you.
So I was just wondering why no one informed this board that they were going to put up 30 Kauhales right behind of the food stamp place, right, the Ala Park and the old railroad station, right? You know where the old railroad station and bus stop is? That's a state building, which I work in, yeah? That we do ABT and general assistance. Right behind us, is a parking lot area, and then you have the senior citizens residence. There's going to be 30 Kahales put up there, and no one informed us of that. They're starting building this month and should be completed by January 8th. So they slid this one in without telling us. Huh? I did get to speak to some of the higher people about why we weren't notified of this. I found out this because they came to our job to speak to us about this. This is how I found out, and I drilled them. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, I've got the information I need now. But thank you.
Okay, I will follow up, Chair.
All right. So is there anyone in the library that would like to ask the governor's representative any questions? Seeing none, anyone online that would like to ask any questions? All right, seeing none, anyone on our board? We'll start with Isukani, who had his hand up first, followed by McDonald. Go ahead, board member Ross Isukani.
Hi there. Thank you for coming. First, I just want to say how much I appreciate your thoroughness in taking our questions and getting very thorough follow-up. I mean, that's really awesome information you're getting. I did just have a question since I saw an article in Civil Beat and it rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. I think it was around a $200,000 appropriation from the legislature related to a restorative justice program. It's a not-for-profit aimed at preventing recidivism. My understanding is that $200,000 was appropriated, but it's being held up by the Department of Public Safety director. It just won't release the funding. And just because it's so expensive to keep someone in prison, I feel like any attempts, no matter how small, $200,000, if that even helps one person, I mean, I feel like it pays for itself. So just curious on that. Thank you.
Okay, I'll follow up on that. Thank you.
Thank you, board member McDonald, please.
Thank you. And I'd like to also reiterate Member Isokani's comment on your thoroughness in answering our questions. We appreciate that. Your response to my question to the Public Utilities Commission, they claim that the rise of energy cost is driving up the price of the energy to the consumer, which I can understand. We have a president and a utilities commission that are claiming that they're going to be able to bring down the cost of energy over the next year or so. And with the election coming up, hopefully that's true. So my follow-up question to last month's question would be, if the cost of energy comes down, can we then expect the cost of our energy to come down as well?
Okay, I'll follow up on that.
All right, any other board members have any question? Hearing none, seeing none. Thank you very much. I hope to see you next week, Wednesday.
Okay.
Installation.
Oh, okay, thank you again, everyone, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thank you. All right, next up we have Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative. Ian, are you online?
Yes, Chair, I am online. Sorry, I'm just coming from a parade, so I'm online, but you can't see me again. Ian Santi, Mayor Blangiardi's neighborhood board rep for this board. Happy holidays again on behalf of the mayor. His newsletter is out on his website at thehonolulu.gov/mayor/newsletter. The neighborhood commission office is hiring neighborhood board assistants to engage in public awareness for community support. Neighborhood assistants help coordinate with the neighborhood board chairs and produce written reports to the members of the public. Please send your resumes to nco@honolulu.gov if you're interested, or call 808-768-3710. This is also to inform the neighborhood board beginning this past Sunday, December 3rd, Route 151 is a new circulator that will be implemented in the downtown Chinatown, Kuakini area. Route 433 will be rerouted to provide additional services along Lumiaina and Hiapo streets. And that's pretty much for the bus. From last meeting, operating costs of rail compared to ridership. What is the cost? The follow-up is that FY24 Skyline operating budget is $85 million. Their fare box recovery again, ratio was projected to be at 14.2% during FY24, and then the remaining portion of the operating budget is subsidized. We're going to see if we can get any further information for that. The next one was the status of the temporary relocation from Honolulu Hale to Waikiki Vista, and Right now, they asked to defer to the next report. And then the last one, again, was all in regards to HPD and the staffing shortages. And again, they've asked to refer to the next report. So I do not have any other things to report back at this time. I'm available for questions, Chair.
All right, thank you. Do we have anyone in our library who has any questions for the mayor's representative? Seeing none, anyone in our audience that has any questions for the mayor's representative? All right, seeing online, I mean. Seeing none, hearing none, we'll go ahead and start off with Board Member McDonald. Did you not have your hand up? Oh, I thought you had your hand up. No? Okay, so we'll go ahead and start off with Board Member Lai.
Thank you, Chair, but I'll defer my question to the next meeting.
All right, thank you. All right, so seeing no more questions, sir. Thank you, Ian Sante. You have a happy holidays, yeah?
Thank you, Chair, you too, and everybody
All right,
else.
thank you. Next up, we have City Council District 6, Tyler Dos Santos, and we have his representative, Richmond, online, I believe, right?
Hey guys, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Go ahead, you
Awesome.
got 5 minutes.
Awesome. Happy holidays. So I'll start off with some constituent stuff. We had a downtown neighborhood security watch meeting that I know you were at, Chair. In establishing a downtown neighborhood security watch, this is something that generally Tyler is very, very passionate about, trying to create as many neighborhood security watches throughout his district as possible, because the more eyes we can get out there, the better. In terms of some policy stuff, so we have a couple of housing measures, and I believe I mentioned this in a previous meeting that we are planning on dropping early next month. So I'll keep you guys in the loop about that. I've been having conversations with Tyler specifically, and we've been talking about how just housing needs to be a bigger priority. So it's something that we're going to tackle in the next quarter or so. There was a council meeting yesterday. From that meeting, there were a couple of measures that we think you folks may be interested in. One of them was Bill 45, which was relating to the Department of Human Resources. So this came about after an audit from the city auditor about the Department of Human Resources. And one of the requirements was, or one of the recommendations from the city auditor's report was to require more reporting from the Department of Human Resources. So Chair Waters dropped a bill that we moved through our committee to do that. And it's the intent of it is to address the thousands of vacancies that are in the city right now, including hundreds in Honolulu Police Department. One of the other measures we passed, Travis, I know you were interested in pedestrian safety and speeding and things like that. Esther Kiaina proposed a resolution that we passed through the Transportation Committee, and it was just passed in full council that is requesting the legislature to waive the requirement that the Department of Transportation Services has to commit or complete a traffic study to lower speed limits. This is taken kind of in response to similar things that happened in other jurisdictions where they decrease speed limits and it decreased pedestrian accidents. And then the last thing, since the last meeting, we had our Game Rooms Town Hall. We feel this is really an important step to curbing not just gambling in specific, but in particular targeting the crime and drugs and violent crimes in particular that are associated with illegal game rooms. And there are over 100 game rooms on Oahu, which is more than the amount of McDonald's and Starbucks combined, which is absolutely insane, and it just cannot continue. So that's my update for now, and open any questions that you guys have.
All right, do we have anyone in the library who has any questions for the councilman's representative? Seeing none, anyone online that has any questions? Seeing none, any board members that have any questions? All right, seeing none, I would just like to say one thing about the pedestrians, yeah? So I've been walking to work, and you can relate this back to Tyler, back and walking to and from work here in downtown in Chinatown. And let me tell you what, I do agree that we need to do something about the speeding cars, but we need to do something about the pedestrians themselves, because these pedestrians, before the light even changed, they see a light turn one way, and they're already starting to cross the street, expecting it going to change and say walk. So the pedestrians too must take responsibility to help this out. That's all I'm saying. So I think it's something to be addressed. I also look forward to seeing you along with Senator Rose for our community walk on January 27th. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you. You have a good day. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. All right. Next, we have State Senator Carl Rhodes. Thank you, Senator Carl Rhodes.
Good evening, everyone. Move this up a little bit. There we go. Well, anybody who's walked by the state capitol recently knows that it's all torn up under construction. The good news is that Governor released $41.5 million in capital improvement projects to for the rehabilitation of the chamber level waterproofing system, which is the thing that's causing us the biggest problems right now. He also released $700,000 in capital improvement project funds for the Hawaii State Capitol information technology improvements. So there is work being done, and hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of how bad the place looks right now. Turning to COVID, there were 308 new COVID cases in the last 7-day period. The Department of Health reported, so it's 43 a day and 6 total deaths. COVID-19 still a top 10 killer in the country, and it's claimed over 1.1 million Americans. So I encourage everyone to get your shots and boosters. There's a fairly recent shot that targets the latest version or the latest I'm on the wrong word here. The latest version of the virus, and masks are still a good idea inside if you are at risk yourself or if you live with someone who is. And flu shots are also available now, which is it's a good time of year to get those. The 2024 legislative session will begin in January, and if you have any new bill ideas that you'd like to pass on to me, let me know. My phone number is 586-6130, 586-6130, and the email is senroads, SENRHOADS, senroads at capital.hawaii.gov. That's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Senator. I do appreciate it. Is anyone here in the library who would like to ask the senator any questions? Anyone online that would like to ask the senator any questions? Any board members that would like to ask the senator any questions? Okay, let's start with Lori, go to Mr. McDonald, and then followed by Mr. Lai. Go ahead.
Thank you, Senator Rhodes, for being here. You mentioned the Capitol facility. So there was some discussion about were there any discussion about the exterior on the Mackay side? There's a very significant bikeway that connects to the Civic Center path and to King Street. At one time, there was some discussion about changing it so it wouldn't be bikeable. Is there any ongoing discussions about that currently?
Yeah, I remember that. And I use that bike path fairly routinely, so I understand your concern. I don't think the proposal is going anywhere. I'm going to do my best to be sure it doesn't. It is District 13. So, but yes, that's a major thoroughfare from Hotel Street over onto the bike pass on South Street. And yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I don't think anything's happening.
All right, go ahead, Board Member McDonald, please.
Thank you, Chair. And as always, Senator Rhodes, thank you for being here when you are here. We appreciate your appearances very much. I had a question for you at the last meeting that I forwarded to your assistant. I noticed you didn't respond to it in your comments. That's fine. But with the legislative.
Sorry, if you remember what the question is, I'll try to answer it, but I don't remember.
I'll just move on to today's question, which is with the legislative session coming up starting next month And with that being the most important time for you to be available to this group and talk to us about the plan, the legislation and bills and various things that you plan to implement for our state and our community, I was wondering if you have any plans to make a better effort to be here during legislative session, which is again, the most important time for you to be here.
Well, it's also the most important time for me to be at the legislature. So my state duties come first. Almost, you guys meet on Thursday night, and almost every month, and there's occasionally an exception, but I almost always have a Judiciary Committee hearing that next morning, and which means I'm reading testimony until, well, usually later than this, but so I'll do my best to come, and I do as often as I can.
And you do, and I do appreciate. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you again for your answer, Senator Rhodes. I just want to make sure you're aware that you can appear by WebEx, and you can even have an assistant to let you know when it's close to time for you to appear.
I'm aware. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you. We're going to go to Board Member Lai, then followed by Board Member Fitzsimmons. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Senator, is there an absolute deadline by when bills would need to be put in the hopper for the next session? And secondly, is there anything on your desk now that can begin to try to balance out the, if you will, the rights of those who are coming into conflict with non-trained support animals and the privileges that are afforded to those folks in different scenarios around the state? Thank you.
Yes, so there is an absolute deadline. The legislative calendar is not out yet, but typically it's about a week after we go into session. So probably about the 24th of January, but we don't have the final schedule yet. Yeah, the bills that I've introduced are still alive from last session, but we're in the process of reviewing whether we need to put something else, either put the old one in or put something new in. But yes, this is, I share your exasperation on the topic.
Go ahead, Board Member Sean Fitzsimmons.
Thank you for coming tonight. I was just wondering, as the chair of the Judiciary Committee, if you had any opinions or input as to the recent discussions about the abolishment of the Hawaii Patrolling Authority, and whether or not, as you know, Hawaii is the only state in the country that utilizes the HPA the way it does to impose minimum sentencing with respect to the open sentencing prescribed by the courts. So I was wondering what your opinion was on that, and if there's any movement going forward.
Yeah, so it has been discussed. It's internally in the legislature. The committees on public safety typically have more jurisdiction than the judiciary does. But having said that, we are involved. The conclusion we've reached at this point is that the system does work, and because typically the judges would make those kinds of decisions in most states. So it appears that the decisions that are made in Hawaii aren't, even though we use a different system, we're like the only one who does it that way, aren't all that different than what other states do. So having said all that, it's still up, and that's sort of the initial take, but we will certainly be looking at it more closely.
Well, are you aware of the statistics that, people in Hawaii that get convicted of crimes are placed on probation for at least 3 or 4 times the length of other similarly situated defendants in the continental United States? And a lot of that has to do with the role of paroling authority, right? It's almost like it's unfair to me. A lot of people don't really know how this works, but Hawaii is the only state in the union where the Hawaii Patrolling Authority determines the minimum sentencing, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure we're unique in the way we do it. Yeah.
And the determination of that, right? The people that comprise the board often take into account things that would be inadmissible or irrelevant in the adjudication of the underlying crime, with respect to the imposition of the sentence, like, the juvenile records or whatever that have been sealed for years and years become a subject of discussion at the HPA. You mentioned that you think that the system works. Could you provide more clarification on that?
Well, as I said, our initial, we have looked at, we, meaning me and my staff, have looked at it, and that's our initial take is that it doesn't produce results sort of on the macro level that are all that different than other states. Having said that, it's still in play because it is kind of a weird system, and it also depends on the people who are on the paroling authority, so they can go off in a different direction whenever they want to. And, that is a concern if it's a direction that doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah, anytime. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. We're going to do one more. Rossi Sukani, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be quick. Senator Rhodes, thank you for being here. Just wondering with the upcoming busy session from the Foley Commission, are there any key items that you intend to really try to get through, public financing perhaps, or anything you want to talk about high level?
I mean, we passed a bunch of the Foley, the split, so there's kind of a distinction between the Foley bills and sort of reform in general. We passed a bunch of the Foley bills last year. The one that that I'm going to make an effort, a major effort on is full funding of full public funding of campaigns. The Maui situation doesn't help anything because it makes the money tighter, but the advantages of full public financing are, well, what it allows is people who don't have the ability to raise money in the traditional way to still be viable candidates. So what you have to do instead of raising money from donors who are wealthy enough to be able to afford it is you have to raise a whole bunch of small donations from people in your district. And then if you get enough of those, then you get a large sum of money, a large enough sum of money so that you'll be a viable candidate. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, for me personally, I've gotten elected, I don't know, 8 times now, I guess, using the other system. But if I were starting over again, I think it would be way better to use the system that we're talking about. So that will be a big emphasis. There are other bills that are still out there that are sort of fully related that I think might get considered, but that's the big one.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, hearing none, thank you, and happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Take care.
All right, thank you. All right, so next we have State House District 26, Scott Psyche. Any representatives online? I see none online and none here. We'll go to State Representative 28, Daniel Hope. Any representatives of his here online or here? I see none. We'll go ahead and move on to our next section. Monthly reports, 3 minutes each. Honolulu Board of Water Supply.
Good evening, everyone. I'm filling in for Ira. She couldn't make it tonight.
Your name?
Oh, sorry. My name is Jimianos. For my report this month, I don't have any main breaks to report for the month of November. So I'll just talk about the general water announcements. I'm going to be talking about how the 2024 BWS calendars are available now. Please pick up your copy of the Board of Water Supply's 2024 Water Conservation Calendar inside the BWS's Public Service Building at 630 South Beretania Street while supplies last. The calendar features the winning posters and poems from last year's contest and reminds us of the importance of water conservation all year long. For more information on the contest, please go to www.boardofwatersupply.com/WCW contest. That's the end of my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you very much. Does anyone in our audience have any questions for Board of Water Supplies representative tonight? Or Jimmy? Anyone online? Any board members? All right. Seeing none. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays and happy Hanukkah.
Thanks, everyone. Happy
All right,
holidays.
All right. Thank you very much. So next we're going to go to Safe Haven. Greg Payton, please.
Yes, thank you, Chair and board members. Hopefully you can hear me okay. My name is Greg Page and I serve as Executive Director for Mental Health. Kokua, pardon my voice, I have a cold. Um, one of our programs is Safe Haven, which is now located on Mauna Kea Street. Our program is completely moved out of Pauai Holly as of November 20th. We're no longer in the building. And Anton Krucky has spoken with us and said he will be talking to this group about repurposing the building in the next few months. We currently serve 33 residents in permanent supported housing only. We no longer do outreach or day programs. So they serve 33 people in permanent housing in Mauna Kea. This year, January to November, we placed 64 homeless adults with mental illness off the streets into housing in either our case management program or on our housing programs. That's pretty much my report, unless you have any other questions for me.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Payton. Anyone in the house have any questions for Mr. Payton? Seeing none, anyone online has any questions for Mr. Payton? Seeing none, any board member has any questions for Mr. Payton? Seeing none, we'll move on. Happy holidays, sir. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next we're gonna go to Honolulu Authority for Rapid Transportation. Harry Cho sent me an email. There is a conflict with another meeting that he had to be to. He won't be here. So if anyone has any questions for him, they can send it to me and I'll give it to Harry Cho. All right. Next, we'll move down to Chinatown Improvement District. Lee Stack. Is Miss Stack here? All right, not seeing Miss Stack. We'll now move down to Chinatown Business Community Association. Is Shulan Schubert Kwok still here or did she leave
Yeah,
yet?
I'm here. I'll just tell
Yeah.
you that we had our meeting last month, November on the 14th, and our next meeting will be December 12th at 10:30 at Legends. Mostly, we were very concerned about the lack of police patrol in Chinatown, even though it was promised that they would have 24/7 coverage. And we were very disappointed that we only had one watch, which is only for 3 hours. And the HPD has changed its working time to 13 hours per day. And so they would only be working 3 days instead of 4. So on top of not having enough officers, it's not a good situation in Chinatown. So we're very concerned about that. Next meeting will be on the 12th. So that's the end of my report.
All right, thank you, Shulan. Does anyone in our audience here at the library have anything to ask Ms. Shulan Schubert Kwok? Anyone online has any questions to ask Ms. Shulan Schubert Kwok? Any board members? Seeing none, hearing none. Thank you very much, Shulan. You have a happy holiday yourself.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So next we'll go on to the approval of minutes. I hope everyone had a chance to look at the minutes so we can go ahead and fly through this. Do we have any discussions on this minutes? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, first I gotta get a motion first. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any discussions? Do we have any objections? Hearing none, seeing none, the minutes pass as approved. Thank you. All right, next we're gonna go to new business, determination of board recess. No. Resolution 2023-06 regarding preliminary social media attendance for the Downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board 13.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any discussions on this? Go ahead.
So I wrote the resolution. I don't think it's necessary anymore. So I'm going to object to it. I think we should just move on. This is regulation, a solution in search of a problem at this point. Thank you.
All right, any other discussions? Yes, go ahead, Ms. McCartney, board member.
I tend to agree. At the same time, it's nice to have something there in case there is an issue that comes up. So that's the only thing I would say. As I looked through it, I thought it made total sense. It gave enough room to, for it to operate the way that it was operating now. And so that's why I thought, yeah.
All right. Board member Lai.
Thank you, Chair. I'll echo Member McCartney and also just ask, what keywords does one type into a website engine to try to find our Facebook page? I can only find some of the other similarly named ones, but not the one that appears to be operated by our group. Is there anything specific that would differentiate us from the others?
One moment. It's downtown Chinatown neighborhood board. It's a group page, yeah. Neighborhood board 13, and it's a group page. It's a group. It's not a page, yeah.
Right.
So downtown Chinatown neighborhood board 13. I'll send you the information. Okay. I'll send you a link.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Do we have any other discussions?
Supposed to vote on the previous resolution?
No, yeah, very discussions. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Seeing no other discussions, we'll go to a vote.
Yeah. So the motion on the table is to adopt resolution 2023-006 regarding preliminary social media attendance for the downtown Chinatown neighborhood board number 13. When I call your name, please say aye, no, or abstain. Yes, this is to adopt the resolution as written. Armstrong.
I'm going to abstain.
Fitzsimmons. That's an abstain. Isokane.
Abstain.
McDonald.
Nay.
McCartney. Lie.
I, with a clarification that the discussion is on the resolution version that's posted to our current public-facing Google Drive for the month of December. Just wanted to make sure that clarification. That I hope that's the version that Member McCartney reviewed and expressed assent for. But my vote is in favor of the motion to adopt.
She says yes.
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So that was a yes. Schubert Quack. Thompson. Carvalho.
I do have a question before I make my vote. And my question is, I was reading in the plan that I don't have to vote unless it's to break a tie, right? Then I abstain.
One more time for Chulon. Nope. All right. With the abstain, the motion does not pass with 2 aye, 1 nay, and 4 abstentions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Next, we're going to go to new business. Determination of board recess schedules. So the motion on the table would not just, it could be any month. Yeah, it doesn't have to be January, it could be February, it could be March, it could be April or June, just to take a month off for everybody to rejuvenate. That's all it is. Does anyone, so this is a determination of board recesses. Does anyone want to make a motion on this? Go ahead.
I motion to approve a recess for the upcoming month of January.
Do we have a second? We have a second. Do we have any
I'll
discussions?
second. I'll second.
Okay. All right. Do we have any discussions? Do we have any objections? Go ahead, board member Lai.
Inherent to this discussion is the matter rather of the location of a meeting during January. Do we have absolute clarification? As I think we confirmed last month, that the school will not open until the 5th of January for teachers, and that the room in which you sit now may not be open. If that's the case, could we, if we do not have a deferral or meeting in January, still meet at Kapala Mahale? Thank you.
Okay, so I do want to answer that question personally. So actually, the students will be coming back, I believe it's on Wednesday, the 3rd or the 4th. No? Oh, or the 5th. So the school will not be open. Secondly, the reason why I had all these presentations on tonight, because 2 of them were supposed to be on for January, but they agreed to move to this month because you folks asked me to make sure to see if it was cleared, if I would clear, and I did clear it for that reason. The thing is, January 1st is on a Monday. The holiday is there. I thought it'd be a great idea for us to just take a rest, move it into, because we're going to be running into February, which is the New Year's, Chinese New Year's lunar celebration. And I thought it would be a great idea. And this is why I stopped the presentations tonight, because those other 2 of these groups were going to be presented in January, but they've agreed with me to go ahead and come this month. And you guys have asked me that, and that's what I did. I cleared January up, basically.
So I have a question.
Yes, you may.
Thank you very much. So if we are not in favor of a recess, we still have no place to meet?
Well,
I mean, is that
yeah,
the
no,
current scenario?
well, the currency is, yeah. The thing is that we could meet at Kapala Mahale, but I do have a problem with Kapala Mahale, because when we meet at Kapala Mahale, no one comes there because everyone comes on web, which is fine. But now that we can meet in person, I think we should be meeting in person. I mean,
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's out of our neighborhood.
That's
too.
just a problem. It is out of our neighborhood, and I like to meet in our neighborhood. I think I found us also a great location that's centered to our neighborhood moving forward too. Okay. All right. Mr. Lai, we're going to go ahead one more time on this one. Then I think we're going to call to vote. Go ahead, Mr. Lai. Board Member Lai.
I'll defer. Thank you for me to be a second time speaker, but I'll withdraw. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So can we have a move to vote?
Okay.
All right, the motion on the table is to recess in January 2024. Armstrong,
Abstain.
Fitzsimmons. That's an aye. Isokane,
Aye.
McDonald,
Can you come back to me at the end? Is that possible? Because I don't want to hold it up, but I prefer to abstain.
yes
Vote
and
nay.
no. So I will come back, but not the last. There's a rule on that. McCarney,
Aye.
lie.
Nay.
That was a nay for no. Thank you. Schubert Clock,
Aye.
Thompson, McDonald,
Nay.
and Carvalho.
Aye.
The motion passes with 5 in favor, 2 no, and 1 abstention. Thank you.
All right. So we won't be taking a recess in January. We'll be coming back the first Thursday of February. Right, which is February 1st. All right. And we're looking forward to, and I got to figure out about the parade, yeah, which is coming up also, yeah, like we did last year. All right. So, all right. Next, we're going to be moving to resolution 2023-010, urging Honolulu Police Department to implement measurable patrol increases in downtown Chinatown to address violent crime. Ross Isukani, I hope everyone had a chance to go over this, yeah? Go ahead, Ross.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to be brief. Hopefully, if everyone had a chance to review, it speaks for itself. Resolution asks for 3 things. 1, increases to the patrol presence in our neighborhood. Number 2, statistics, so we can actually measure potentially any increases. And number 3, to have a city and county representative come and speak to us about just the threat of violent crime, as well as the staffing shortages that we all know is experienced. Am I allowed to just make a motion to approve my resolution?
Yep.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution. And just to clarify, that would be the resolution in Google Drive dated December 1st. That's with my name on it. I know there's multiple versions
All right.
now.
So I do see that Sean
Second.
Fitzsimmons seconds it. Okay. All right. Everyone, I hope you guys had a chance to go over this resolution. It's a good written resolution. Do we have any discussions on this? Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I would like to ask Ross,
I'm
do you know if there has been any feedback from the police department to this directive?
Yeah, so most of the questions were verbally with Lieutenant Segucio, which, he gave the responses against policy. Oh, I guess I should disclose, even though it's allowed, I did send an email to Lieutenant Hai Shin, I believe. Did not get a response, and that's fine. I also attended as an individual, the Honolulu Police Commission, asked a question. They were very cordial and nice, but ultimately no response. Hence this resolution.
Thank you. Any other discussions on this? Any objections?
Chair.
Oh, Mr. Lai? Board Member Lai, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I did have a discussion with Member Isakani to let him know that I had read the resolution in detail. The floor draft that's presented within the Google Drive, which has not yet been introduced, simply did a few things, which I thought would make this a motion that we could all fully get behind, regardless, or including of its content, rather. Specifically, just to tidy some things up and control some of the conventions within the resolved clauses that we've discussed and used in the past. I believe it corrects a spelling error and also replaces some other conventions with references to our resolution. Now, it's fully within the purview of the board and Mr. Isakani to accept these suggestions if not, but I am compelled to make a motion to amend the resolution to adopt the floor draft as presented instead. And that's a motion that's made and it's subject to the will of the board. Thank you.
Do we have a second to amend?
Select the right side.
Sherry, none?
I'll
Any
second.
discussions?
I'll second.
Your second. All right, do we have any discussions on this? Just on the amendment, yeah? To adopt Kevin's version instead of Ross's version.
Property owner here for my.
All right, Kevin Lau, I'll give you one comment. Go ahead. Discuss.
Thank you, Chair. Not to say this is my resolution per se. It certainly still remains the heart and soul of what Mr. Isakani has developed. I just simply wanted to remove things that might be of possible concern, just technical things, semicolons and strings and things like that. Again, I appreciate the second, and I hope that the members have had a chance to review it as well. And that's, again, is subject to the will of the board. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Board Member Lori McCartney, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Ross, for developing it and Kevin for looking at it. I read the resolution as prepared by Ross and I totally got it. I understood it. It seemed to make sense to me. I actually worked, I'm not a grammarian, but I thought it worked quite well. So I don't see the need to amend it.
All right, any other discussion, sir? All right, here, go ahead. Go ahead, Board Member.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I read them both too, and I think it's just looks more professional with the corrections, but it's still, I think Ross's resolution, the heart and soul of it is still Ross's resolution. I just think it looks a little bit more professional with the amendment. And with that, I'd like to call for the vote on the amendment.
We'll call for the vote. So all those that in favor, go ahead, Dylan.
So we're voting on the amended motion right now. So Mr. Lai, correct me if I'm wrong. The motion on the table is to approve the corrected version that has non-substantive edits. How would you want to clarify that for the minutes?
This would be a request to adopt floor draft 1 of resolution 10.
Floor draft 1 of, Reso 2023, Reso 10. Gotcha. I'll write that in the minutes. Alrighty. Armstrong.
While I appreciate the effort, I vote no.
Fitzsimmons? No. Thank you. Isokane?
No.
McDonald,
Thank you. I've just been informed that the author also doesn't like the changes, which I wasn't aware, so I'm going to vote no. Nay.
McCarney,
Nay.
Lai,
Aye.
Schubert Quack,
Nay.
Thompson, Carvalho.
Nay.
All right, the amended motion does not pass. 1 in favor and 7 no, no abstentions. We're now back on the main motion.
So now we're back on the main motion, which we already have a first and a second. Is there any discussions? Go ahead.
I really just have a question about statistics. In the resolution, it states that we're way outside of where any other neighborhood in the state is. But we're asking for statistics. So I'm wondering where those statistics come from.
Go ahead, Mr. Isakane.
May I respond to that?
Yes, please go ahead.
To clarify, the statistics on the violent crime numbers are from the HPD annual report and also the online crime dashboard, which I was playing around with. That's just for Honolulu, by the way, not for the state. Just to clarify, but all the same, the statistics that the resolution asks for is patrol head counts for the beats. Just saying, scheduled, maybe 1, 2 per beat, how many were actually staffed. To give some context, the reason behind that is there have been articles saying because of the HPD staffing shortages, certain beats are actually not staffed.
All right, thank you. Board Member Lai, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move to amend the title of the resolution to repair the word measurable and strike the second E in that word.
All right, so we're doing another amendment. You're asking us to do another amendment?
Yes, I'm trying to spare us the embarrassment of adopting a motion that has a misspelling in the title.
Chair, may I say something?
Wait, hold on. Clarify, please, Eli.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the permission to reply. I was not able to find any reference in which measurable as a word contains 2 E's outside of particularly technical references, which might not be applicable. I'm simply asking that we strike the second E and the word measurable within the title of the document itself, if that has not already been corrected. Thank you.
Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. All right. So Mr. Connie seconds to strike that E. All right. Any discussions? Any objections? Seeing none, it's stricken and it is approved. Okay. Now we can go back to the amendment itself. We had a discussion. Is there any more discussion on it?
Mr.
Go
Chair,
ahead.
I would just like to voice a few comments. First of all, I appreciate the author's efforts in this. I think it's terrific. But I wonder if we're not making the problem worse in that with a woefully understaffed police department, we're asking A, for more work from them. And I know we deserve those answers, but I wonder if that might not be happening. And B, I wonder if we're contributing to the constant negativity of our neighborhood and how it is seen by not just our citizens, but the entire community, in that it's crime-ridden and a place where you don't want to go anymore. That is contrary to what I have found in Chinatown and downtown for the last 4 or 5 months. Yes, there's a drug issue on our streets, and there's homeless, of course, but I really feel confident in saying that our neighborhood is much cleaner than it was a year ago. It's much safer than it was a year ago, and it is nowhere near the West Side and the issues that they're facing, or even Waikiki. So with that in mind, I was wondering if the author would consider delaying this until we reconvene in February in order to get the police department a sufficient answer to whether or not this is a staffing problem, whether or not this is a crime reporting problem, or whether or not this is something in our brains that just won't let go and not really statistically valid. Just
okay.
Trying to be as friendly about this as possible.
All right. So is there any more discussions on this?
Chair,
All right.
just vote for it now, please.
Okay, you're calling for a vote. Yeah. All right, so we called, Shalon's called for a vote.
All righty. To clarify, the motion on the table is to adopt Resolution 2023-010, urging the Honolulu Police Department to implement measurable patrol increases in downtown Chinatown to address violent crime, drafted by member Iso Kane, dated December 1st in the Google Drive. Is that correct? With the amendment to the title, strike the second E.
Thank you,
Perfect,
Mr. Lai,
thank
for
you.
that call out.
Armstrong.
Reluctantly, aye.
Fitzsimmons. That's an aye. Isokane.
Aye.
McDonald.
Aye.
McCarney.
Aye.
Lai.
Aye.
Schubert Clark.
Aye.
Thompson. Carvalho.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes with 8 in favor, no abstentions, no nays. Thank you.
All right, so next is a motion to establish public events committee. You have to have a mission to do this, yeah? Anyone want to give us a motion on this? Public committees.
I'd like to move that we establish a public events committee.
Second?
I second.
All right, so we got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussions on this? Go ahead.
The original idea was that we know that Waikiki has a lot of events and they have a lot of parades and that they are overwhelmed with parades and events. And I don't know that anybody's looking at downtown Chinatown as a place that is a great place to consider as an option for some of these. If they, it sounds like they may put the hammer down on how many they're going to do. There's a lot of work that we would need to do in trying to identify where and when and how to accommodate these kinds of events. But I think with more people coming into Chinatown, trying to bring more people into the downtown Chinatown historic art district area, we have an opportunity to do that in a fun way or a unique way with some of the events that traditionally and all the time are on Kalakaua Avenue. So that's sort of the general idea.
Okay, thank you very much. Board Member Lai.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the additional explanation from Member McCarney. I wonder if with the establishment of the committee, if we move forward, if we anticipate its size, its specific charter, reporting requirements, and again, the infrastructure that's required of the public notices that we can maintain the sunshine law compliance, if all that's been contemplated. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that. I did want to touch on that, Mr. Lai. So with committees, they do have to follow the same process that we set up these meetings. We do need an agenda. Let's say this is adopted. We do establish the committee. We would then appoint a chair, could be co-chairs, whatever the board decides, or the chair. And then you can have your members from the board, and then it's also open to anyone in the public. So it can be as large as you want, but board member participation can be, it must be less than quorum. So this board, your quorum is 5. You only have 4 board members part of this committee. When it comes to the agenda, as the chair submits his agenda, if you want to hold your meeting on the first Thursday of every month, like this board, I need your agenda submitted to our office exactly 1 week before that. If we don't have that under sunshine law, we do not have a legal meeting. The meetings do have to be accessible to the public. And unfortunately, at this time, you cannot have a virtual only meeting. That's the case. And with committees from the neighborhood boards, if the committees can handle a hybrid setting, that would require your own laptop. The NAs, we don't have the staffing to go to every board's committee. So you are on your own for the most part, but we do offer some guidance and support, and obviously the mail out and make sure everything's legal. If you guys need help with a venue, we can talk about that as well. There's a lot of city facilities that could be used, as long as you know that process is on its own. The last thing I wanted to say was you do need minutes, and that will be the committee's responsibility. You're supposed to submit them within 30 days from the meeting date to our office. We'll post them. That's about it on that side. The other idea, because this is kind of a targeted concept, is a permitted interaction group. Yeah, also known as a PIG. So you don't need an agenda for that. And it is time sensitive. You establish the PIG, which we could not do tonight because it's not on the agenda, but you can establish a permitted interaction group, and then you go out and you do your work, and then you report back to the board, and then they would either approve or not consider the actions. So that's one idea, and maybe we can take this time to focus on that and research. Feel free to call me, ask any questions. We're always available.
That was very informative. Thank you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bim.
Have you ever seen a pig that's combined neighborhood boards? Because it would be interesting to have Waikiki and downtown Chinatown create a pig.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't recall an exact time, but I know that the Makiki neighborhood board, as this board just had a joint special meeting with them. I used to be the neighborhood assistant for the Makiki board for the last couple of years. I think they attempted a permitted interaction group, a joint permitted interaction group, but I know that they did joint meetings. So they are involved in that. You might want to reach out to their chair to see, how that worked, what the process, best practices. But we're also available to help you, and it is allowed.
All right. No. Right. Okay. So the way I'm hearing that, so we're gonna move over this motion at this time, right? To investigate on a pig. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I think that's
Yeah, right?
better. Yeah.
Yeah. And this way you folks can get together. You know you want to do it. You know you want to do it. You guys can start getting together and trying to work on that. All right? So do I have to do anything else for this? No? That's it. Okay, so. Yeah. So do we have any objections to postponing this item? Motion to establish a public event. Go ahead, Mr.
Chair.
Lai.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to clarify, there was a motion, I believe, made and seconded, so it belongs to the body now. And so is this being further motion to defer
Yes,
as
withdraw.
the maker of the motion?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to withdraw that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lai. Okay, so do we have any objections to move past motion to establish public events committee to a future date? Or to altogether change it over? Yeah, you want to withdraw the whole thing? Yeah, so the motion to establish a public events committee has been withdrawn. Okay. No objections? Okay, so let's move on. So we're going to do for chairs report. We had a joint neighborhood board special meeting on illegal game rooms. That was hosted by Makiki, downtown Chinatown, and Hawaii Kai. It was a great interaction between all those three boards. Kali Palama joined, and the Ilili and Nanakuli boards also joined this meeting at the golf course. So the bills have not been read yet. The bills will be read this coming 2024. We're just getting ready on this at this time. And the bills are Bill 57, gambling related public nuisances, and Bill 58 relating to authorized personnel. Yeah, you can check those bills out. But what it does, one of the bills basically is saying if gambling is going on in the place in this place, then the one that's going to get fined is the owner, the landlord, right? But they're going to give the landlord time to make things right. So there's a lot to read on this, but I would suggest everyone look at it. They will be reading this come 2024. The city council will be, yeah? Yes. Yeah. No, this is city council.
Since we're a public.
I think it's a public nuisance, yeah? Let me see.
It's a private property.
A nuisance is anything that unlawfully hurts, inconveniences, or damages some Example, ROA 16A, 10-2, substandard buildings fine, H. Yeah, okay. So let me find out more on that one, yeah, because that's a good question. Also, we will have more joint meetings too as this time goes by. There is on Google Drive, Hawaii Kai wrote a letter. You might want to look at it. We might want to write our own letter to the city council about how we feel about this. Some of them might write a resolution, yeah? So the next thing we're going to go to next is the crime meeting that we had, that Tyler just had on Turkey Eve of all days. So a lot of people did not make it because of that reason. Basically, it is about getting more neighborhood board watches, groups and all that. I do know the Masons will be involved in neighborhood walk. It's something they've wanted to do, and Tyler is hooked up with the Masons on this, and they're discussing the walks with that. But there should be more groups walking in the neighborhood. And that's just basically what that was all about, which was held in the Gateway Plaza.
Mr. Chair, may I just add one comment to that? There was a really excellent commentary in Civil Beat last week about neighborhood watches and staffing for police and things like that. And so if anyone is in the public who's interested in this issue, I would refer them to the Civil Beat about a week ago. And I think it was Neil who wrote the commentary.
Neil Minor?
Yeah, I think it
Not
was.
Not that.
Oh, no, it was Dabney.
Yeah,
Dabney.
yeah,
And, but anyways, it was very, I thought, on point. And it's, and
The last thing we're going to talk about is the neighborhood community walk. Yeah. So both councilmen Tyler DeSantos and Senator Rose have agreed to do a neighborhood board, not the neighborhood board walk, and have agreed to do a community walk with us, where we're going to have maps. We're going to map out the bad spots, but we're also going to map out the historic spots. So we're going to hit the historic spots and places that are historic to Chinatown and downtown, the spots that need to be cleaned up and all that. So Senators himself and his crew will be there, and Tyler DeSantos, Councilman Tyler DeSantos and his crew will be there. This will be on January 27th at 11 o'clock. We're going to try to get food to feed the people that's going to be walking there. We'll start right here at Smith Baratania Park and make our way around. Yeah? So it's a walk that's going to come through. I think I would like support. Yeah. Or do I have to have support? I don't have to have support for this. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a board event. Yeah, so I don't have to have support for that. It's yeah. So it's just, but everyone is welcome to come to it. Yeah. And I think it's a great idea. It's great to get our community more involved. Yeah. Go ahead, Board Member Lori.
Thank you. That's great. Is this, remember when we were talking about Neighborhood Board 13 visibility and everything in the community? Is this one of those things where it would make sense for us to be visible and wear our shirts and be out there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Okay. Right. Mr. Lai, please. Go ahead, Board Member Lai.
Chair, I wasn't sure if you concluded the majority of your report, but I just did want to follow up on some of the items that were mentioned last week and related to Member McCartney's just immediately prior comment. Where do we stand with the expenditures on our $1,000 outreach allocation? So we had set some plans. If you want to speak now, I'll follow up.
Yeah, no. I believe we addressed this, Mr. Lai. The money is ours. It's there. They cannot take it back. I did email you that. You asked, and I emailed you, and I said, they cannot take the money back. The $1,000 is ours to use as we had appropriated at our meeting. Yeah. And I'm going to
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. My question was, when are we going to do that? I know we had set some plans and had some ideas, and we're reaching, the last semester of the term. I was just hoping that if we had a plan for that.
I think that's a good idea. We'll bring it up on community concerns, because it has to come out on community concerns. Oh, no, not community concerns, but on board concerns.
Mr. Lai, to address, the time frame, the The neighborhood commission office is organizing and collecting. As you've seen in the conference of chairs, it was another kind of like a final reminder to the boards that haven't even taken action that the clock is ticking. The money can be used in other ways to support the boards. So your board has already done the work of figuring out what it would like the money to be used for, which was cleanups. So we need supplies for that. And then safety vest, and I'm thinking signage or materials for signage. And that would be for pedestrian safety and bicycle safety. Perfect. I'm getting nods in here. So that's the idea. You guys are all good to go. I would think that by February, we should have all the items and you can start organizing or scheduling. Thank you.
Chair,
Another
if I
question,
could,
Mr. Lai, go ahead.
yeah, just for Mr. Buck, is that the royal we saying the neighborhood commission office is going to procure and generate signs and everything such as that, and then deliver it to our board at a date and time that we specify? I'm just, again, trying to nail down the logistics so we don't get into March, April, May.
Understood. I don't think any legal dispute will come out of this. The agreement
No.
was when the neighborhood commission office purchases, they will do the purchasing. We're not going to issue a check to the board. That could get interesting. So we will handle the purchasing and we will provide it to Chair Carvalho. And as Chair Carvalho agreed in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're willing to house the material. Things like that could fit in a strolling cart, all of that. And then the board would create the signs as you've seen in other public safety awareness events. Does that answer your questions?
Yes, thank you. I just want to make sure that we just get the momentum and actually do something. Thank you for clarifying.
Understood. Thank you.
So everyone, that ends this board meeting. So next, downtown Chinatown Neighborhood Board number 13 regular meeting is scheduled. It's scheduled for Thursday, February 1st, 2023 at 6:00 p.m. at Keili Kalani Middle School Library and virtually via WebEx. You can archive this on YouTube and rebroadcast this on Olelo. We're calling this meeting to an end at 8:41. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for joining. Happy holidays.